Want to thank our sponsor, Parati's Quality Meats, located in Cranford, New Jersey, serving customers all over New Jersey for the past 50 years. Welcome, everybody. The Shore Football Report Special Edition 2022 High School Football Schedule Release Show. Wow. Now, it came out 2 weeks ago, but we're releasing it now. Coach, by demand of Instagram followers, we're back.
I was just going to say, back by popular demand.
All six of them.
People were needing their short conference football fix. We'll roll the Happy New Year's and the Merry Christmases all into one. It's 2022. Football season is officially started, which we're going to talk about.
Oh, God.
It's awesome to see you.
You know, it's awesome to see you, man. You look a year older. I haven't seen you since the New Year.
COVID will do that to you, buddy. It seemed like me
or
anybody I spoke to got COVID over Christmas break. It's unbelievable.
Coach, I got the COVID. The whole house had the COVID. And
as I.
Coach, it affected me. I really believe when you have the COVID, it just makes you real tired later on.
Yep, I agree.
Example, last week, I missed 2 games. I missed the 49ers Packer finish, and I missed the Chiefs and the Bills because I was sleeping.
Wow.
Yeah. Do you know what it felt like when I'm reading text messages? What'd you think of the game? I had to watch it on ESPN. The highlights. I fell asleep. Yeah. Crazy.
Well,
best game out there. That's all I heard.
I'm not a big napper during the day, but I know, and I'm talking since Christmas break, there's still times during the day I'm starting to drag a little bit around 7 o'clock at night. You know, going back, I would have fell asleep during the Kansas City game, Buffalo game as well. I had money on the game, so that was so I was definitely into it. But this past football weekend, man, that's probably one of the greatest football weekends I've watched on TV in a long time. What great football, which leads us to now us being together. You know, listen, football season now, the schedules are coming out. We can talk about it.
Yeah.
So let's go.
We're going to get right into it, but we're going to do something special. And we got a coaches roundtable. We have 4 head coaches.
Yeah.
We have Dominic Leport, Jeff Rainess. We have Lenny Zdanowicz, and then we have Brian Staub. You know, so we got Point Boro, we got Holmdel, we have Brick, and Manalapan's head football coach, and us 2 on there going to talk a whole bunch of stuff.
I can't wait.
I can't wait. Wait, hold on. They're texting me. In a couple minutes, they're going to be on. That's awesome. Yep. So we're going to have some fun with that.
Yep.
We're going to talk about, I'm going to ask them about when does the season finish, and then when do you start in the off season. I want to know when they finish their season and stop talking about the 2021 season and get into the next season, like Brian Staub. He just won a state championship. That guy's probably still dancing and going crazy wherever he goes, right? I mean, wherever he goes, he probably brings a pen. He's signing autographs, right? You know, when he goes to the hoagie place and all that, he eats a Staub sandwich, you know? So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the divisions, on what they think about it, because it changes every year. So we'll talk about that. Non-divisional games. I want to know, we don't have control of who we pick.
Sure. Yeah.
I want to know what they think about it. And then I want to talk about college recruiting with the COVID and the transfer portal. And you and I know a lot about that with recruiting. And guess what? It's tough. It's really tough. So those are the topics that we're going to talk about in a couple minutes. Just message me again. They'll be on in a couple minutes. So we'll have fun with that, Coach. And then after that, we are going to talk and reveal the 2022 divisions. We're going to go every single division, and we'll talk about the teams briefly, just briefly. And at the end of it, I'm going to present the Shore Football Report's all-star teams for the top juniors, sophomores, and freshmen. Why? Because they're all back in the Shore Conference.
Yep. Correct.
We got new names that are coming out,
which
new
is
stars.
Tag-teaming with the schedule for next year, so you can get an idea of who's returning to those divisions.
And how quickly people forget about the seniors that scored all those touchdowns. Where there's a sophomore coming up that's going to do the same thing with the same plays, with different families in there cheering for them. Quickly, you could be forgotten in high school football. You know what I'm saying? The people in Barnegat don't even know my name anymore. I have to wear a name tag. It's awesome. Do you know what my name is? Former. I'm the only former head football coach at Barnegat. I'm a former. I'm old.
You're former, right?
So, that's what happens in high school sports is cycles. You come and go. You come and go.
It's a circle of life. It's a circle of
But
life.
you know what doesn't graduate? Tradition.
Yeah.
Tradition doesn't graduate. If you got tradition in your programs in the shore conference, you're going to be okay because there'll be new blood going in. Coach, I want to get right into it.
Yeah, that's a good thing on tradition. I'm sure we'll ask that question with the coaches.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure some of them are going to have that feeling about certain games they would like to play every year because of traditional reasons, and why not create new traditions? So I'm really looking forward to this roundtable because you couldn't have picked, the 4 guys we have coming on. I mean,
we'll have fun. Hopefully, I don't have to edit anything out.
Well, whenever you put coaches in a room, especially that many people, I mean, there's a chance.
There's a chance. I'm worried about you and I, not them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I have a gutter mouth. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm kidding. But let's get going. I'm excited about it. We're going to do the coaches roundtable, and then we'll get into the divisions with the schedules, and then we'll get into the top players, juniors, sophomores, and freshmen, and we'll have some fun. You good?
2022 officially here.
2022, man. Okay, everybody, we got a coaches roundtable right now that we're going to be doing something different in our 2022 schedule release talk show. Something different. I'm really proud that I got 2 Ocean, 2 Monmouth County, and the guy down below, Shannon Hoadley, which we all know about, the Shore Football Report. And let me introduce him from the left and go clockwise. To the left, we have the Holmdel head football coach, Jeff Rainess. Proud to have you, Coach. Thanks for coming in. Right in the middle there is from Brick Township, Lenny Zdanowicz. Thanks, Coach, from Ocean County. To the right, we have Brian Staub from Point Boro, the head football coach. Coach, thank you. And right all the way down to the left-hand corner, we got Dominic Leport from Manalapan High School. Thanks, guys, for all coming on the show. Thank you. I've had a lot of people asking, what is it like when head coaches get together and talk about different topics and all that stuff when you're on the phone and all that stuff? So I wanted people to hear it. And we're going to talk strictly 2022. No 2021. I know, Coach Staub, you're still celebrating over there in Point Boro with that state championship, and we'll get to that in a second. But, people want to hear us talk, and we're going to do it. And we're just going to talk unscripted. I did not talk about anything to you guys, so we're gonna wing it. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna laugh, and hopefully, I don't have to edit anything out. Right?
Right.
More on my part.
I can already tell you we got the right guys on here that you're on your A game because that is the first time all season long that you got the opening right off the shot. Yeah. So it's obviously good luck that you got guys from Monmouth and Ocean that
Coach, I've been practicing for 5 months since the season ended. I have nothing to do. I don't coach anymore. So if I couldn't memorize that saying, I was in trouble.
Talking, this is the ShoreFootballReport.com, Rob David.
All right, enough about that. Guys, before we get going, I want everybody to hear, when do you guys stop talking about the 2021 season? And Coach Staub, I know it's something different for you guys. You won a state championship this year, and everybody's going crazy in town. But when do you guys stop talking 2021 and say, you know what, guys? Thank you very much. Let's talk about 2022. And with the COVID going on, sometimes banquets haven't happened yet too. Is that tough to do? Or, I know you can multitask and do it, but where you're completely not talking about 2021 anymore and just get 2022. So, Brian, you start off with that. When do you guys at Point Boro stop and get into 2022?
Yeah, for us, it was when we had our exit meetings with every underclassman, and the first day we had our off-season team lifts. We did play until December, so we did give them a week or 2 off. But right when we got back from Christmas break, it was on. So really, in the weight room, that first team lift was all 2022.
Wow, that's great. But I'm sure there's still a buzz around. They're still talking about that 2021, right?
There is, but when you lose the last game of the year, there's just something about having a sour taste in your mouth. So, yes, we won a state championship. We're super proud of that. We're looking forward to hopefully defending it, but at the same time, we're a little pissed off with how Haddonfield went.
Nice. Coach Dom, how about you? When do you guys start the 2022 talk and get into the season?
For us, Rob, it's always been, and again, we've been pretty fortunate. Our season's been extended a little bit and going into December. So just the way I picked it up from Eddie, we would always give off the guys the month of December and then come back that first week in January, get right in the weight room. And then our banquet is usually either the end of January or the beginning of February. So like this year, our banquet is February 11th. So once February 11th comes, and we're really focused on the 2022 season, because like the other guys on tonight, we're dealing with the 21 kids with college and stuff like that. So, we got to stay focused on that stuff. And like I said, for us, it's always been the banquet. That's behind us. And we focus on 2022.
Oh, that's nice. And of course, with recruiting with you guys too, you're still kind of talking with those seniors and even the juniors and all that. Coach Jeff, how about you? When do you guys start and stop?
No, I mean, I think the natural point is the banquet. That's the usual one. Obviously, last year the banquet got pushed way out. This year we actually had it scheduled for, I think it was this coming weekend, and we had to push it. With the stuff going on in the schools, we pushed it out. This year I kind of used the schedule. When the schedule came out, I kind of used that as the springboard to start talking to the guys about, hey, look, this is what we have coming up, as opposed to, congratulations to the guys from last year and these guys are going to college and all that other stuff. We use that schedule as the springboard.
Yeah, we're going to get into that, the timing of when it came out, the schedule, the divisions. Coach Hoadley, we talked about that. Huh?
Yeah.
I mean, and I want to apologize, Coach. We're going to get to you in a second, Lenny. But I want to apologize to you, Coach Staub, because you're playing in the finals, and you're being taught, and your kids are talking about the last next year's season, because the divisions were put out less than 24 hours before kickoff.
Exactly.
So I want to apologize to you for that.
We were calling teams about non-division games the day before Willingboro. It was not right.
I know we both, myself and Coach Davis, spoke at length how that was such I'll come out and say it was just an injustice done to a lot of the teams that were playing in the postseason at that point in time, that you come out, we're dealing with high school athletes when the year of social media, that they're not really thinking about the game, or at least not giving full focus on the game. They're talking about, we play you next year, and instead of just being focused on, it just the timing, I thought, was just absolutely inappropriate this year.
It was tough. Lenny, let's get to you now. When do you guys stop that season and get into the 2022?
Well, looking at it from different aspects, usually you start talking about it, I guess everybody can say the same thing with the banquet. And ours traditionally is the weekend before the Super Bowl, when there's no football on the TV, so nobody misses anything. So now, it's been pushed back a week this year. But I think when you start talking about your underclass kids, I think we can all agree. You finish your season earlier, and now you're talking about sometimes finishing it, first week in November, last week in October, depending on when it is. If you don't make it past too far in the playoffs like we didn't this year, then you kind of get into it a little sooner. The kids are itching; they want to get at it. So all of a sudden you're like, all right, let's get in there. After Thanksgiving, we'll get in there after that, start in the weight room. But for me, I have the kids in there. And I always use that time, since I'm as the weight room coach anyway. So I'm in there with the kids, and I'm using it as a teaching time to just teach some of the younger kids our lifts, and getting on some of those kids, and just trying to schedule everybody, and getting the freshmen involved in the program, and hunting them down the hallways, trying to find new kids, and doing that stuff all through December. And then when you come back and after New Year's, everybody, same thing. Everybody's going full tilt after that.
Yeah, that's that. You never want to shortchange the seniors, ever.
Rob, I got a quick question, if I can.
Yeah, go ahead.
The reason why I think, again, it's Coach Davis's brainchild. The way this season has progressed with Shore Football Report, it gives us a different view of what we said. So, as head coaches or former head coaches, so I know, obviously we have our exit meetings with our underclassmen, what we think they need to improve on, what they did great this past season, the weight room. We all know that January to August, that's where you win football seasons. That's where you really succeed. As head coaches, when you start looking at, in your opinion, your schematics, because again, great teams are going to succeed with, your personnel dictates your playbook, not your playbook dictating your personnel, because that's what it goes. It's the Johnny and the Joes, not the X and the O. When you look at what you want to run offensively, if you're going to go more RPO this year, or are you going to go more, spread out to really start going out, or defensively, you're going to go to from a 3-4 to a 4-3 or 4-2-5. So when do you start looking at that? And then also, when as a head coach, do you start looking at offensive assistant coaches changes? Do you want to move this guy up and give him more of the ball, so to speak, as a coordinator role, or do you want to bring fresh blood in? When do you start doing that as a head coach?
Yeah, Coach Rainess, would you start off with that? When do you guys start with your schemes? Because you run some unique stuff offensively.
Yeah.
You really do. Because other teams are focusing on you. If you flipped it and did a different offense, you probably wasted 3 months of people going away to try and stop your offense.
I don't think we're doing that anytime soon.
Ooh.
Well, listen, I think we're different, right? We're a little bit different, so maybe we look at things just a little bit different. For us, I think it's all about, like, we're doing that throughout the current season. Like, we're looking at developmental players throughout our season. We have a Google sheet that we have, we keep our depth chart on, and we're kind of constantly tinkering around with that and talking about that. And we're talking with, the coaches and the kids, and hey, look, you might get moved to tight end next year. You might do this, you might do that. So for us, it's like it's an ongoing process. I realize we're different. Like, we're a little different than most guys, right? But, we look at the world maybe a little bit different, but it's an ongoing process for us.
Nice. Coach Staub, how about you guys?
Yeah, that's a great question. And to kind of build upon what Coach Rain said, it's every day. It's ongoing. I try to do, we're never satisfied. There's always a better way to do it, better way to teach it, better plays, better schemes. So we try to do it every single day. Just a little self-scout. I think that's so important to see if you have any tendencies, and then start breaking down, the division and the opponent's films now.
How about you, Coach Tom?
Rob, for me, it's, again, I'm fortunate because I'm just a football guy. It's all I do. I don't coach any other sports. So, like Coach Staub said, for us, it's every day, and have the coaches in the weight room now, and we're constantly discussing that stuff. And, the spring will be here before you know it, and we'll get out and we'll go visit some colleges and some coaches and sit down. So, it's all the time. And I'm sure, like the other guys, we got those text messages, those group text messages with all your coaches on it. And we're always talking football. So
Always.
It's constant. It's constant.
How about you, Len?
That's the same thing, man. I mean, I'm fortunate enough where, I have a large number of my coaches in the building and a large number of my guys on our phys ed staff in here. And, we'll sit in here and, again, our board right there, there's stuff all on it from the other day, and it's on there, and it's something that we just constantly always talk about. We just call it playing chess, and we just send stuff back and forth, and we just have fun with it. It's just a matter of keeping you on your toes, thinking of things, and then you're, like you said, looking at your personnel. I mean, between like Brian and Jeff, they kind of have a great system that they run, running their forms of their option. And again, like, it forces a lot of other teams to get ready for that. Which I think that's the ideal situation. For us, we use stuff and we're kind of dictated. I kind of run the same plays. It just matters what formations I'm going to use. I think what I have coming back, and unfortunately next year I think I have the ability to possibly go very multiple with formations. So that's something that will be kind of new for us because we've kind of only worked out of a few formations. So I'm thinking maybe we can be more multiple because we might have more tight ends. We might have some more skill guys that I think are a little bit. But I'm trying to put the best 11 on the field, and that's football players, not just, I have a skill guy, he's a great catch, but he can't block, he can't do this. So I'm not, biting at the bit to put that kid on the field, but if I have good skill guys, I think you just got to adjust that. And then I've done that in the past, and, I've gone from, 10 personnel, I've gone to 20 personnel, I've gone to 21 personnel, and I've gone to, 32 personnel. So just a matter of what you think your best way to win a game is. I think you have to be like that,
Yeah. Great, guys. Thanks. That was nice to hear that stuff. Now I want to get into divisions. And one thing I've learned from not coaching this year, I got so much more respect because I was open-minded to all the programs. There's some outstanding football teams in the Shore Conference from top to bottom. And when you're a school like a Group 2 like me, like I was, you kind of, when these things come out with the divisions, I don't know who I want to play. Because there's always somebody that presents problems to you guys schematically and traditionally with their football programs. A lot of good coaches out there. There really is. So our divisions come out, and people have been asking me, why do we do what we do in a short conference with divisions? And other people don't do that. Other sports don't do that. They have traditional A South, B South, C North, B North divisions, and the kids wake up every year and they know that they have to beat Red Bank. They have to beat this team and that team every year. But in the short conference football, we've now changed our divisions every year, not even kept them for 2 years. So I'm going to ask you guys, what you think about it, because the short conference is not. Dom, you've coached a long time, and you've been at Freehold Township and Manalapan, so you were in the A North, and you knew who the teams were to play.
Yep.
You don't know who you're going to play next year to the next year to the next year, and it's kind of frustrating to us coaches, right?
Yeah.
To not know who our traditional
Absolutely.
60% of our games are going to be every year, and we're at the mercy of a committee that selects it, and then we want to know, how did you pick it and why did you pick it? So I want to hear, let's just openly just talk about the pros and the cons of the way the new divisions are being selected. Now, Coach Staub, you're kind of relatively young to this, so you didn't really see the stability that we've had for years. So you're kind of used to this a little bit now, but it always wasn't like this. It really wasn't. So Dom, you start off. Give me something you don't like about the way the divisions are.
Well, I think number one, you started off before, and we were saying about the timing. And, when that came out, and the first, close friends of mine like Brian, Steve Antonucci, Jerry Schulte. I'm thinking about these guys are getting ready for a sectional title, and now all of a sudden, a day or two before the game, have to go out and try to get out of division games. So that's not fair to those guys, first of all. So the timing was real bad. The second thing was the transparency. There's like no transparency. There's a formula. Well, what's the formula? I talked to my athletic director. Find out what this formula is. I made a couple of phone calls, spoke to a couple of people, spoke to someone on the committee, and they were telling me, well, Dom, this is the way the numbers worked out. This is where you fell. Well, what are those numbers? At first it was supposed to be a 2-year thing with the divisions. That changed. It was going by the total wins over 3 years. And then within hours, it went from 3 hours. It went from 3 years to 2 years to 1 year. So, there was constant change. And, it was just frustrating from our part, from our end. And I'll be totally honest with you. After the Southern game last year, I actually praised the guys that put the divisions together. I said the games were very competitive. Listen, all of us on this call tonight, we've all had success, and nobody wants to play in those games at a 35-0 at half. It's not good for anybody. It's not going to get you ready for the postseason. So, the games last year, and Jeff and I played against each other. You want to play in competitive games. That's what it was all about. And I praised the committee on that. But then all of a sudden, it was like things changed. And I know for my division, and again, not to take anything away from anybody else's division, because we're all in our own situations.
Right.
But you take two parochial schools, you put them together, that we know play under different rules. They do things that we can't do as public school.
You're 100% correct.
Yeah. And you take supposedly top Group 5 school in Manalapan. You take a top Group 4 school, Middletown South. You take those two top Group 3 schools in Wall and Rumson. You put them all in the same division. That's playing in the SEC. That's not competitive. That's going to be you got to stay alive every week. You got to stay healthy. So you get through that part of the season. You add those added division games. You got to be healthy for the postseason. So I was really upset about the parochial situation. And again, I'm at Manalapan, and we've had success, and we're certainly not going to run from anybody or be scared to play anybody. But we have to play two parochial schools that are under, again, different rules than we are. That's not a fair situation. I put together, proposed alignments, like you mentioned before, based off the old traditional and rivalries, A North, A South, B North, B South, all that stuff. I did that in about a half hour. Literally did about a half hour, put it all together, group size, and I got a lot of positive feedback from a lot of the head coaches in the Shore Conference. And matter of fact, one head coach even wrote back to me and said, "Tom, what about putting the parochial schools in one division?" You know what? It's not such a bad idea. It really isn't. If you put those 4 parochials in one division, I'm telling you right now, especially with the multiplier, we would play at Manalapan. We would play one of them. I would play one of them every year. Those guys can go out and get games. Mm-hmm. There's 3 games right there. Those guys will be able to go out and get 5 games or so, no doubt. But put those guys together in one division, along with Manalapan, Middletown South, Wall, and Rumson. I just didn't think it was right.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, Jeff, what do you think? Jeff, you've taken Holmdel to grounds where they weren't a couple years ago. I mean, you were in the bottom division, and then now you just like kind of grow. You grew right to your the second to the top division.
Yeah,
and
I think. Listen, I think I do have a unique lens to look through because of that experience, right? So, we played in a lower division in 2018, and we kind of have worked our way up, right? We had a little bit of success there and kind of worked our way up. And going into this past year, there's a couple of things. Like the size of the schools was heavily tilted against us. And then, one thing about the playing in a consistent division is listen, our game against Manalapan was a great game, right? It was a back and forth game. It was a really good game. It was fun to play in that environment against this big school. But that's not a really great geographical rivalry, right? Same thing. We had to play at Southern, right? Some of the juice is lost when you go play those schools that you don't have any history with. There's no history. So I think there's something to be said for the geographic part, right? There's something to be said for the size, right? But I could tell you, after living through that season, this year, right? I think that there's it's a very hard thing to do to make 43 guys happy, right? 43 talents happy.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't envy the guys that are trying to do this because it's an impossible task.
It is. The one thing nobody has mentioned though is that they put the varsity teams matching up. The sub-varsity, the JV freshmen, are getting brutally beaten at the lower levels, and nobody talks about that. So if you're a school that's kind of decent, a small school playing bigger schools, well, those JV freshman guys have to play a Group 5 or Group 4 program, and they're getting annihilated. People don't talk about that, and it's taking its lumps on the younger kids, and they don't want to come out, or they're disgruntled about getting beat up, and there's nothing.
I can tell you, even from a varsity standpoint, Coach, by the end of the year with us, listen, we played Mid-South, and we played Manalapan, and we played Southern, and we played Jackson, and we played, we were playing great programs every week, and as a competitor and all this other stuff, you want to play those games, you want to play some of those games. By the time we got to the end of the year, we were joking around, we had one good shoulder in the linebacking core. We were beat up. So there's, I feel I hear you, Coach. Coach Leport, all of you guys are going to be beat to hell by the time that that thing comes around. And I could say, I can say that after having gone through the season we went through. I can say that honestly. There's something to be said for, especially maybe even just a bye week, building a bye week into the thing. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but.
I love bye weeks.
Going against all of those big schools in a row, right? That was the part. That was really the part that upset me the most, right? Was there's no break.
Recovery.
And the greatness part of we all know as coaches is you got a chance to be able to win a state football championship at the end of the year. They can never take a championship away from you. You play a consecutive weekly schedule, week after week. What type of shape are you going to be in as a program? By the time the end of November, December rolls around, going against programs that are as talented as you, but might have played a weaker schedule or a weaker divisional conference as opposed. And like you said, we wear our short conference heart on our sleeve. I'll put the parity of a short conference team up against it. But you saw it, and Coach Davis and I spoke about it this year. when we started to play out-of-conference games against Middlesex or up north, because we play such a physical style of football week after week after week, teams weren't really showing well in the playoffs this year.
Well,
And you gotta put something to that they're so beaten up from September through October into November.
Yeah.
That's not the same team that you really have on paper, that we know what we had.
Yeah, you're right. Coach G, what do you think?
No, I agree with a lot of stuff you guys are saying as far as, and I said this a couple years ago when, in 2018 we went to the state finals and, we lost by a touchdown to Long Branch. And I said, it's very weird now that it's harder to win a division title than it is to win a state championship. Especially for the teams, and then I kind of look at our team as we've been on both ends of the spectrum. A couple of years ago, we were in a top division every year. And like you said about getting beat up. And again, I still don't have the depth to afford to lose, a good player to be able to compete at that level. So I lost my quarterback in a Vianney game, and then he altered my whole season. Then he came back in the playoffs, but it's still, he wasn't the same kid. But so when you're playing against those teams every year, every week in and out, like you said, you're getting beat up, and you got to try to, win the war of attrition. But it shouldn't be the point where it's easier to win a state championship, as far as a sectional title, than it is to win, your division. And I look at it when I was in the tougher divisions, I believe it was, and then being in a better division and making the playoffs like 2019, based on how good our team was in 2019, we had to play an even tougher schedule. And all my kids that took us to that title are gone. And they're playing in college, and we're playing a schedule based on what they did. So then I have a group of kids that didn't play much because they're behind those kids.
Right.
And they're being thrown right into the ringer. Week one, we're playing modern day, and we have a bunch of kids making their first start. So it's tough on that part. And then I look at, like now this year being, having lost some games and, coming down to different divisions, it's still tough and everything. But again, like this year, we missed the playoffs because we didn't play any Catholic schools and didn't get any multiplier stuff. And there's a team that we beat that we had a better record than, and they made the playoffs over us because they played a Catholic school team and got blown out. So they made it ahead of us. Mm-hmm. So I just think there's some rules, there's some things that, again, we're one spot away from each other. So, I mean, I look at that saying, well, is that right? Is that the way it's supposed to be done? So there's a lot of things that got to be worked out. But again, like I said, like we all say, it's tough to do all this stuff, So, as far as the way they change it every year and how they pick it based on whatever. But one thing about rivalries I can say is, we've been fortunate, we play, Brick Memorial is a big game and we play it, and we've been fortunate enough to play it every year. And Brian, he's been involved in it, so he knows what it's like and how emotional it is for the kids. But one thing that we have gotten over the years, and now we don't play them anymore, but due to that new schedule, we had a great rivalry with Freehold Boro. There was a time for 2 or 3 years in a row, we played them twice a year. We played them, during when Worthy was there, and we played them playoffs, we played them in season, and we wound up playing every year in the playoffs. We went to the finals. One of us went to the finals. So we had a great rivalry with them, because why? Because we got familiar with each other. And, we played each other every year for 3 or 4 years. So it was like every time we played them, it was kind of like, oh, here we go, and we're going to go against each other. And that became a good rivalry. But then I also look back in 2018 when I think it was maybe 17 when, I remember I'm in the weight room and I see the new schedule come out. I see the divisions and I'm like, and all my kids are lifted and I'm like, this sucks. Like, we're not playing like our rivals, and all of a sudden I start seeing the kids going around the weight room, getting it. Hey, here's your schedule. And what the heck is this? We're not playing Tom's River North. We're not playing East. We're not playing South. We're not playing Southern. We're not playing. And I'm like, they're going, gee, what's up? I'm like, I don't know, guys. I don't know. Like, so these are the kids that they grew up playing. Now everything's all different, but these were the teams that they grew up playing from when they were 5 years, 6 years old. And all of a sudden now it's like there's junior, senior year, and it's like, sorry, you're not playing them anymore. So I look at both ends of it. And, there's sometimes I think some of the stuff is good, and then some of the stuff is not good. So, again, like I say, you're not going to make everybody happy.
Coach Staub, you're an interesting example now. I mean, you had 2 lean years in Point Boro's minds, and you were playing tough competition 2 years ago. You come back down, and you're playing in schools you normally would play. You had a great season. And what do? They move you back up. I mean, I don't think there were numbers involved because your numbers weren't any better than the other teams, but they moved you up because we all know you got guys coming back. You won a state championship, and now you're back up in a pretty brutal division. You really are. What's your take on the divisions?
Yeah, I agree with everything that's being said around here. I think the two biggest points was it's real hard to get a bye week because we're starting so early. I haven't heard. Is anyone playing week 0?
A couple schools.
We are. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to. I asked around. We weren't able to do it, but and then we're just starting so early, so it's just it's so hard to go through a whole season playing good teams. You're going to get beat up. I don't think many teams are going to play week 0, so there's not a great opportunity for a bye week. And then, to me, the divisions, like Coach Z said, I wish it was a 2-year thing, just because you had the rivalries, and you said Manalapan and Holmdel had a great game. Well, if you lose that game, you want redemption, and we're just changing it. Right. And I don't know. I understand that 3 years might be too long, and if people are getting beat up, no one wants to get beat up for 3 straight years. That sucks. But 1 year is also too short. So I would just like to see it be a 2-year thing.
You might play a senior dominated team. 1 year we had Raritan, and they were pretty good the 1 year. And we said, hey, we got everybody back. So the next year we are going to be able to redeem ourselves. They moved out of the division, and we never got a chance to, reciprocate the same thing they did to us. And it stinks because you're right. Because things happen 50-50 usually in high school. It really does with that. So interesting take. Real quickly, any suggestion? If there's anybody out there that could change anything or keep it, what's your suggestion with divisions? Do you want to go back to the old? I know we voted and you guys mostly said A South, B South, let's try it again. Or do you think this is something that we should do? Maybe keep group sizes together or?
Well, I think this, Rob, again, heard them talk on Shore Sports Network about this formula that they have to make up these divisions. So what did I do? I went to work. I sent all that stuff out to the guys, right? So you can only go back a certain, amount of years if you go to New Jersey Gridiron. So if you go all the way back, and it goes all the way back to like 2002, 2003.
Yep.
Right, 2002, 2003. Right, so I went all the way back and counted everybody's playoff appearances. Yep. Okay, and I did all the numbers. So from 2002, 2003 up to 2012, we were like in the upper teens, 17, 18, 19 teams put in the playoffs. Okay. Now, 2012, we went to 5 groups.
5 groups.
So we went to 5 groups. Okay. All of a sudden, that number went to like 21, 22, 23.
Yes.
All right. Common sense. For us football guys, we understand why. Now, to the people on the outside, maybe they don't understand it as much, but they're being told that this formula now is putting more teams in the playoffs, which we know is not true.
No.
Okay? But all those years that we were putting 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 teams in the playoffs, it was A North, it was A South, it was B North, it was B South. So, to me, that's the way it should be, just like every other sport. But unfortunately, with some of the powers to be, if it doesn't benefit, and we're talking, right? If it's not going to benefit them, okay, it's not going to be that way. All right? So let's think about the whole instead of thinking about those select few. All right? Because those select few are kind of being, handled with kid gloves a little bit. It's not fair.
That's interesting because I remember you telling me that. You're right. They split into group 5, which allowed more programs to go.
To get in.
And it was 8 teams, too, that got in. Before it wasn't always 8, right? Back
even before. I mean, I'm down here 25 years, but I mean, Lenny could attest to this. I mean, I think it was Len, 4 teams back then. It was much harder to get into.
Back I don't even remember when that started with
20 years ago, I think, or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
I mean, listen, that was a lot different when it was only 4. I mean, every game mattered, and that's where nowadays you can have losing records and get in. And stuff like that, which, I mean, listen, it's another game to play, but again, there's all reasons why people have those, losing records depending on the division you're in. But like I said, when I was in the hard division and I'm playing like a lot of these tough schools, like I said a couple years ago, 19 and 20, like I opened up at Mater Dei, I played Vianney, we played Jackson, Freehold Boro, Wall, Mid-South, and that was my regular season games. Mid-South, that was our regular season games. And we were 3 and 6, and we made the playoffs.
Right.
And I remember like Coltsnack had a winning record, and they didn't make the playoffs.
Right.
And I was like, hey, listen, I understand they're upset, and they should be upset.
Yeah.
But you know what? They didn't play the teams that I played. Right. I probably could have been maybe that record too, and then I look at it both ways because like this year we didn't make it because of that reason. So I just don't think that that's especially this year with all the forfeits that happened with Donovan Catholic. That was, that screwed everything up and threw things into a wrench. With teams getting points for that they really didn't get.
Points.
So and then it just all it's just the way that we're doing stuff that I don't know how it might benefit teams in our league, but is it really benefiting teams in our league? I mean, look at the way. I mean, let's be honest. How many? Usually, you could say, all right, well, from the Shore Conference, you're going to have a couple of sectional championships every year. What do we in the Publix? What do we have? We had one this year. Brian and his team. That's all we had. And I bet you Brian could say that. Maybe that's it's a lot of it's keeping your own kids in your own town. I think that all is something that we all got to do. And Brian, he probably said attest to that. Maybe it's keeping. He was able to keep all of his kids. I haven't been able to keep some of my kids. Hence, we've kind of taken a step back. So that's kind of the other stuff where people are taking your kids for whatever reasons, and we all know how it goes. And you're losing strength, and are they able to knock off the big dogs? Again, Red Bank Catholic was able to knock off a big dog this year and get up there. But let's be honest, did that only happen because Mater Dei closed their varsity team? Probably. So now you had the best of two schools coming together.
Well, I said you put together an all-star team like the middle of July. You know what I'm saying? And again, I've been down here.
That's a lot of talent on one team, man. That's a lot of talent on one team.
Glenn, I can say this again. I've been here, like I said before, 25 years, and I've been a part of every all-shore game, either coaching it or running the game. And that team that we played against last year, that team probably could have beat 90% of those all-shore teams. I mean, it was sick. It was sick. I mean, how? And again, we play. You got to play the game. You got to play to win. But I mean, you're on different playing fields, and it's just not fair. And you know what? I don't want to hear Dom. Well, you're getting 2 multipliers. You know what? I could give a rat's.
Oh, that's terrible.
Multipliers. That doesn't mean anything to me. And again, not to sound cocky or anything, but we've been fortunate. We're going to put ourselves in a situation where hopefully at the end we're going to be in the playoffs. A multiplier don't mean anything to me.
A multiplier is to shut you up. That's all it is.
Exactly.
Here's your multiplier. Shut up. Win one game. You're in the playoffs. Next. That's what's
now
the
it's
issue.
2 multipliers.
Yeah.
So what are the optics? And Lenny said it before about being 3 and 6. Well, you got Manalapan, Middletown South, Wall, and Rumson going to beat the hell out of each other. But you get the double multiplier. So there's a good chance. And again, we play to win the game because that's what we're going to do. But you may have teams with losing records that are going to be top seeds. I mean, how does that look to other coaches throughout the state? To me, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's crazy, Coach. It really is. But let's get into the non-divisionals real quickly, and I want to talk about college recruiting and get you guys out of here. But your non-division games, you get your division games, and then our non-division games were just released. What, 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, the whole thing.
Okay,
yeah.
And that is you guys get to choose your wish list. So if Holmdel and Point Boro said we want to play each other, and that's my first choice, you're probably going to get it. If Holmdel wanted to play Manalapan and you both said that's our second choice, you're probably going to get it. Not everybody got their wish list. Maybe one of the 3, maybe a couple of them got 2 of them. But you always got that surprise team with that. Do you like being surprised with your non-division games, or would you rather have more control of your non-divisional after you see what your division's made up of? Like, Dom, you got 2 parochials in there. You might say, I might want to scale back a little bit and play 3 teams that are down a group size or something like that. So what's your take on the non-divisional games that's given to us? Or the procedure, that the way you do it. Jeff, what do you think?
Well, I think the way it worked with, calling each other about that, I think that's okay. I think there's no problem with that. Again, like I'm not beating a dead horse, but the release of when people were calling each other was a joke, and the disservice to some of the guys. But as far as scheduling that, I totally agree about calling other guys and trying to schedule a game with them that, they might call you and you might be like, let's be honest, we're getting text messages from guys and it's like, all right, well, which one of these do I want to answer? Which one of these? And
you used to call me up, Len. I dodged your calls. You used to call me up. I didn't believe.
Listen, I know you don't want. Yeah, I know. Listen, we don't want to get into that, But I don't mind calling other guys and finding a game. And then I look at ours. I reached out. Marlboro reached out. We had a good game with them this year.
Yeah.
Said, yeah, sure, we'll play it. And then I got a call. Me and Coach Lou reached out and said, "Yeah, we'll play." And then I guess my other game I got was Central, which I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's an even. That should be a Group 4 team that we're going to play. That we're Group 4, and I'll play it. That's no problem. So I mean, I can look at Coach Lou and saying, you're going to get stuck with Donovan Catholic as one of those first games. And listen, it's rough. I guess it's rough a little bit when you got a team like that. And and again, Coach Lou had a great team last year and a real good group of seniors. But they're gone, So, I mean, what he has coming back, I'm not going to say. I don't know exactly what he's got, but I guarantee you it's not the same team because they had some studs on that team last year. So, again, it's also tough in that aspect, But like last year, especially with last year's thing, I mean, I'm glad. Hopefully, that's gone with all the giving you the extra game at the end of the year. And I mean, I had a big issue with how the games I got chosen. And I made us think about it to a lot of ADs, and I got the worst answer I've ever seen in the world. Last year we got our extra game, and we had asked for a bye week, and we got a bye. But then also, like at the time when we're getting this game, we're sitting at 4-2, and we just played for a division championship against Middletown North. We lost, and we get to play. We're sitting in the PowerPoints, somewhere right around I forget where it was, maybe like 14 to 16 or something, and then all of a sudden. Maybe it was 12, I'm sorry. And then all of a sudden we get to play Jackson, who was at the time 0-6. So no offense to us and Jackson, I don't care if they're 0-30. We're going to have a battle. We're going to play Jackson. It's going to be a battle. It's a big rivalry game for both of us. But again, at that point, for us, what did we have to gain from playing that game? We're trying to get to the playoffs, and we're playing an 0-6 team. That's one of the toughest teams we'll play all year. And then we're 4-2. And there's teams that we beat that on paper played a harder game than us. So what was the formula worked on that? Oh, well, Brick and Jackson play a lot. So we play every year. I go, really? Is that the science behind this? We play every year? But do you understand that playing Jackson, I mean, we lost the game. Believe me, it was, I'm not making excuses, but we lost that game, which if we could have won that game, we probably would have still made the playoffs. But if we might have played a team that was closer to us in power points, we might have made it anyway, So I mean, I just don't understand how I'm 4-2. They're 0-6, and that's the sketch. They're sitting at number like 26 in the PowerPoints. We're sitting at 12. How do we play them? How do the numbers align that we play them when teams that we beat are playing harder teams I'm saying on paper than we did? So, and what I got from the coach, from the ADs was, well, if you can get Jackson to agree and the other schools to agree, you can switch the games. I'm like, that's not the way it should work. No. Like, you gave us the wrong game. You really did. It should have been a comparable team is what we're all being told. But I don't know how I get to play a team that's 0-6 and probably one of the hardest teams I play all year. So it just, I don't agree with that stuff. Like, it goes back to some of the schedule stuff where, we figured this was good. Well, what's the numbers behind that? What's the science behind it? So it's just a matter of again, like Dom said, and I totally agree. It just, whoever's mixing and making the dinner gets to choose all the ingredients and choose what they want and what's good for them.
Coach Hoadley, this is good stuff, Coach, because we're going to be revealing the 2022 football schedule. So when they see it, they're going to hear this stuff from the coaches and go, wow, that's pretty interesting. But Coach Len, you were talking about those 2 games, which were the extra games that were added. So we're not doing that anymore. It's the 3 games. Coach Jeff, what's your take on, because you're in a unique situation. You're playing black and blue division the last 2 years. How would you want your non-division games to be?
So my first boss when I came out of college, he taught me something good. He said, don't bring me problems, bring me solutions. It's always stuck with me. So it's like,
let's hear the solutions.
I'll sit down. I don't have one.
That's why you've been quiet.
That's my point. It's like, I get it, and again, I understand. It's 42, 43 different lenses, and it's an impossible task.
Yep.
Like, this idea that we can go out and call each other and and schedule games, whatever it is. Like, I mean, I could tell you right now, I made a couple of phone calls and guys are like, no way. Like, I want to play a split back veer team. Some guys don't want to. They don't want to play. They don't want to play. We're different, right? Why would you want to play anybody different that you gotta do a whole separate preparation, right? So like some teams, like, listen, who's signing up and saying, hey, look, I want to play, Donovan or Red Bank Catholic. Some of those teams, you're just not going to get willing participants. So there is no exact match. There is no magic 8-ball to say, okay, like, everybody's just going to work this out amongst themselves. That doesn't exist. So the guys that are doing this, whoever these guys are doing it, they're stuck in an impossible situation. So that part of it, like, I don't really have anything to weigh in because I don't have a great solution. I don't know that there's a great. I would say, like, look where people are, look how they've performed in the past, and try to put them against like schools.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe you're not matching a group 2 up against a group 5. Maybe you're not. Maybe just like schools. Maybe use the geography a little bit more. Use the proximity to one another for rivalries. Like, I don't know if Jackson and Brick are playing again, but like Coach said, like, that's a great actual rivalry that as long as I've been around here, I've been around the Shore Conference for 20 years. Those guys have always been playing. It's 2 great teams. It's 2 great towns, 2 great football towns. They love playing each other. Those guys should probably play.
Awesome.
Right? If they're not in the same division, right?
Yeah. Coach Staub, you're interesting. You just won a state championship. People are calling me, hey, who should we play? I said, play Point Boro. They go, no, they have everybody back. I said, no, they lost 3 seniors. They're going to be down. They're going to be down. So I'm sure a lot of people weren't calling you up. How are you? You got a lot of guys back. You have non-division games. Did you want to beef up your schedule, or how did you want it?
Yeah, it was tough. We called a decent amount of teams. All the Group 2, Group 3s, couple Group 4s, and no one really wanted to play us just because we do bring a lot of guys back. We're different. It's, triple option offense.
Mm-hmm.
We're a Group 2 team, so you don't get as many power points. I get that. So for us, we didn't have anyone agree to play us, and then we were happy with the non-divisions they gave us. It's comparable in group size, which I think is probably the most important thing. So I think they did a good job. I have no complaints over it.
Who are they? I know you're playing
Neptune,
Barnegat,
and I'm going blank.
East.
Yep, it's under East.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're good with that. It's fair. It's going to be competitive. So I think they did a good job for the most part.
This is great stuff. I can't wait to reveal the schedules and then have people go, aha, now we know the inside scoop, how this all came about. But we really don't know how it did. But
what schedules are you revealing that you keep saying? Everything's out, Coach.
I know, but it's the first time we get to do it on here.
Oh, I'm just wondering what you're talking about.
Oh, you don't know who you're playing? You're playing every parochial. We're adding those teams.
But I'm wondering, what are you revealing?
I switched a couple of the schedules and I put some non-publics again on your schedule.
Is that what you did?
Yeah.
Is that why you're wearing a shirt and tie, because you get to do that stuff?
Yes. All right, the last thing I want to talk about, guys, and I appreciate your time right here, is college recruiting. You guys are all dealing with recruiting as we speak. It has changed for the last couple of years because of the COVID and also transfer portal era. Did you know 1,300 players roughly have been put in the college football transfer portal since August? And that has backlogged a lot of the slots, Division III included, because they only have X amount of slots for your players. And I want to hear what you're hearing from the college coaches, because you guys are active head coaches right now and all do a great job with promoting your kids in colleges. So, Len, start up with us. You start off, talk about the COVID and then the transfer portal all at the same time on how it's been a little different now for recruiting.
Well, I mean, looking at everything, and again, I don't have in the last, I haven't had I had a Division I kid a couple years ago, but maybe I have some ones coming up. So in talking to the coaches, I get to see, a lot of them are hesitant about taking on kids because a lot of teams that if you need somebody, you can kind of get them another way. Mm-hmm. You can get somebody that's going to play right away rather than somebody that's a project. And then I mean, just looking at this from the college coach's point of view, I mean, this is like murderous. I mean, now you got to deal with the transfer portal, and then on top of that, the NIL, and then on top of that, all the early signing dates all thrown in together. I mean, these guys at all times, they got to recruit their kids every minute of the day. And I look at those guys and I just feel sorry for them because there's no end to this. There's no end. Anybody can leave at any time. I don't know how you recruit guys now. Like you said, some coaches are looking at saying, I'm never going to recruit a high school kid again because I can just get these kids that are already ready to go. Yeah. Every college coach, God bless them, because I can't understand. I don't envy anything they got to do in dealing with this stuff. I mean, to be able to have kids that are starting on your team also then go, it's just not. I don't think it's setting a good pattern. I just think it's something that I think the whole way everything is right now is something that has to be changed, because to have all these things come into factor at once is just a big cluster. What another word is. But I mean, for us, I mean, the same thing with sending kids and sending film out. I can see there's not as much interest from some of the kids. In the past, we had kids get more interest. I've noticed some of that being mostly having, Division III type kids, maybe some Division II. But I can just see the way some of the kids, and again, if kids are aggressive in it and they keep doing what they're doing, and I keep helping them do what they got to do, those kids are getting, looks, and they got coaches on them. But I just look at the Division I coaches, and I don't envy anything they got to do, and I would never want to be in their shoes.
Speaking of Division I coaches, one of the guys who's got a lot of connections is Dom. Coach Dom, you have a lot of connects, a lot of buddies out there in the college world. I'm sure you picked their brain. You got guys in your program that are potential recruitable kids now and in the future. What are they telling you? What are they telling you?
Well, I had a couple of guys coming during the spring, like Lenny was just saying. A couple of these Division I and AA guys, guys from the CAA and Patriot League and things like that, saying that they're not recruiting. They're not recruiting high school kids. Not taking any high school kids this year.
That's scary.
I've had guys starting to come in already looking at our 23s. We got another scholarship kicker this year, and I got guys already texting me about him. So I think this senior class 22 and 21 have really gotten screwed over with the whole from COVID into this transfer portal, because like as Lenny said, we all have Division III kids, maybe some Division II kids sprinkled in there too, but even those guys having a tough time trying to find a home.
Yeah,
just hasn't been easy on us.
No, you got a lot of buddies out there in the college world, so at least they're telling you all the truth. Coach Jeff, what's going on? The same thing going on there in Holmdel that you're hearing?
Yeah. So I mean, listen, I personally don't think that Division I, that portal situation is sustainable. Like, that's the word I always use with it. I just don't think it's sustainable. Like Coach Z said, like I don't envy those guys. I think it's got to be possible to build a culture around that, like inserting pieces 2, 3, 4 years into a guy's career. Like, that to me, that's not football. That's not how you build a team. That's not football. That's just not what it is. As far as the recruiting thing, like I can tell you, like, we've had some borderline Division I kids. We had a kid last year who was a borderline kid, and at the end of the day, like, Nebraska, he wound up going to Nebraska, but the recruiting process behind that was brutal. Not only were there was teams that would come in and talk to them, oh yeah, we like them, with this, that, the other. We don't have any spots left. We can't do it, and that's heartbreaking to a kid to hear that. Listen, you're big enough, you're strong enough, you've done everything right, you've done all the things you're supposed to do. We can't, we don't have space. And I think that has filtered down to this year quite a bit. I mean, we had a good amount of Division III guys come into the school and talk to our kids, and some, a bunch of Division II guys as well. But I feel for the kids, man. I think it's a tough environment for those kids to have to go through the recruiting thing, and it's just it's different now. It's so much of it is on social media, or it's on Twitter, or this or that or the other, and it's just a tough spot, man. And listen, it's our job to manage all that, right? It's our job to manage that expectation with the kid and the parents and the community and all that stuff. And it's been a challenge.
I would say 90% of the players and parents, so it's new to them, the recruiting when they do it. But the 10% of the others that had other child that went through it is in shock now. Like, wait, why isn't he getting offered? Because my son did, and he's better than him and all that stuff. Coach Staub, you got a big-time kid, Cole Skinner, coming back, big Division I kid. How's it going with the recruiting part with him as a junior? Big 300-pound
Yeah, I mean, it's real exciting. It's just
they're still coming in?
Yep. We just had UConn in today. We had Villanova in last week or 2 weeks ago. So it's kind of our first Division I guy We never really had a true Division I guy since we've been there, so we're fired up, and Cole and his family super excited, and we're just telling them to enjoy the process. Yes, it can be overwhelming. We're doing everything we can to help. Social media is unbelievable, in terms of getting his tape out there. So, we're excited. And
are they telling him there's scholarship offers on the table, or we'll wait till see what's going on in the spring and all that stuff?
UConn was saying they're going to, he had to go talk to the O-line coach, and they wanted to get him on campus. But they did mention, they threw the word offer out there, but I know that could be
good.
a lot of meetings. So it's exciting, but we're just going to take it one day at a time with them.
Yeah, Coach Hoadley, got anything to say about this before we get these guys home so they could start looking at their huddle film of next year's opponents? Because
I'm kind of torn on the recruiting process, honestly. Listen, I'm of the belief we've all met with coaches. I mean, we all know the game. We all know the spiel that they do when they come in to talk to recruit our kids, not their kids yet, but still our kids. It's a business, make no mistake about it. We all know that. So I kind of like the transfer portal, the way it's moving around, because how many times we're seeing coaches turn over. I mean, we all saw what went on this past year with Notre Dame and how things went down. The coach actually sat in there, which I personally know because one of my players sat in the locker room with him minutes before what went on, and they lie to their face and they move on to their next job. So maybe in that next coach coming in might not fit into a schematic, might not fit into what his plans would be. So that kid could get another opportunity at another school, because it should be and always is about the kids. Give them the best shot to where they succeed. But on the same token, someone I know very close who coaches at D1 level, said to me personally, listen, this transfer portal has just made it so much easier for my team to go out and recruit, because I don't have to go put the miles on with my assistant coach, go out to schools. I could just pick and choose what I would need to do with the transfer portal going on, which hurts. You're always going to have like coaches blessed with that offensive lineman, that true D1 kid that, he's going to get but the ones that are 1A, D2, those kids, it's really going to affect, because they're going to be able to just pick and choose, pick up the film, look at the portal. Well, that could work, instead of going out, just sitting down and truly meet that kid. Does he have the heart? Has he got the character? Let me talk to the head coach and see if that's a kid that's going to match with me. So I can see both sides of it. It's a tough marriage, to be able to marry that situation, what goes on.
Well, Coach,
the only thing that I see, I mean, if I can add one more thing, we were talking about today with, some of my guys that I work with, the transfer portal stuff. And I love the fact of, we look at a lot of the quarterbacks that might be stuck behind somebody, and all of a sudden they get a chance to play. Look at like Joe Boro this year in the NFL is like the perfect example of a guy that, being able to transfer when you're not playing behind somebody.
Right.
And that's where I look at it saying, all right, listen, if your coach leaves or something happens like that, then you can leave no matter what happens.
Right.
But if you're a starter at a team, at a major at a program, and you leave, I think you should have to deal with the same consequences you used to have to deal with in transfer. But if you're not playing and you're behind somebody, by all means, I give that kid the opportunity.
Yeah.
But I just look at it from the coach's standpoint. There's got to be some type of, some rules. With these kids. Looking at this stuff now with, the kids being able to pick, and I want to go to this, I want to go to that school, from lower level schools and wherever they are. And then all of a sudden now they're negotiating their NIL deals.
Mm-hmm.
This sounds like it's dealing with like Catholic schools in high school, taking their kids and, how much does it cost to go here? And then, and that happened. We all know how that all goes around. It seems like it's just funneling down to high school now. It's that high school part going back up.
I wish they had that NIL in college. I would have got Brother Bruno's discounts there, man.
You might have got a slice, Coach. You might have been able to get.
Awesome, guys. Hey, guys, thanks for spending some time on our talk show. It was a special edition. I had people said they wanted something to be done, and I appreciate you guys spending time talking about various topics. And we get to release the schedule on our show, Lenny. I know it's been out for 2 weeks, but I'm going to do something special and have some type of booklet out there where we're going to put the top players in the short conference from our short football reports, all-star teams coming back, and I'm going to insert them into the divisions so we can start getting new stars out there in the short conference. Freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and you all have guys coming back that you're excited about. And you guys are going to be competitive football programs every year because you guys do it the right way. And I appreciate it. And the thing I like about you guys is you do a lot of stuff behind the scenes with all-star teams and the committees for our association. So I want to thank you guys for doing the right stuff, not only for your program, because I know you spoke highly about other programs, players too, with colleges or newspaper reporters, and to us when we were picking the teams. And that says a lot about you guys. It really does. So you guys are great ambassadors for short conference football. Thank you. Coach, you got anything to say before we let these guys go break down some film?
I'm glad you mentioned the all-star teams because that's been a real painful thing over the last 2 years. I pray to God they could bring back the all-star games this year, be it all-shore game, Phil Sims class, whatever the case. Because a lot of these kids, some of these kids are never going to put the pads on again after their senior. And that is such and Dom and the crew, Bird, they do such a great job with the all-shore game with the underneath the lights and get the last bit of fanfare that they could possibly have. I truly hope they bring back those because that's sorely missed with these kids. And believe me, we all know kids talk about it. They want to play in that game. Kids come back and say, "I remember when I played in that game," or "Do you remember that game?" I truly hope it comes back this year.
Well, we got to get back to normal. The COVID put a little dent in it the last 3 years, but you guys have done a great job and seeing it from the outside. Shannon and myself, you guys are making it normal for all the programs. It really is. So we'll get back. We'll get back to normal. College recruiting was smooth out, and the division thing. I do think that we're on the same page, guys. That we're gonna be very transparent and we're gonna communicate with each other. The committees on both sides.
That's the key,
right? That's the key. Not everybody's gonna be happy, but we'll have to respect. Playing poker with the cards up, that type of thing. So, all right, guys. Shannon and myself want to thank you guys for coming on the show. Have a great off season. We'll be talking to you a lot the next couple of months, and football is going to be right around the corner once you get done with the spring sports. You know that. All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, man.
Thanks, guys. Coach, here we go. The American Division for the 2022 football season was just released their schedule. Let's look at the teams on the left. First of all, see the two good-looking guys on the right?
They look great.
They look really good. Really good.
Those are damn good coaches. Go ahead.
Darn good. We could talk an hour about the two on the right. Forget about the guys on the left. But looking at that, we have Red Bank Catholic, Donovan Catholic, Middletown South, Manalapan, Rumson, and Wall. Now, that wasn't put in any type of order, but those are the teams. And looking at the schedules up top, and all I did was copy, paste, and put it up there, and looking at it, and let's just talk briefly about each team's non-division games, because you already know who they're playing. That's some pretty good football programs, right, Coach?
Pretty good football is an understatement right there. I mean, you're talking serious week in, week out, big time football programs with great cultures and great traditions in their programs with head coach. I mean, that's a special division.
Yeah. Now, Red Bank Catholic is going to be a number 1 or number 2 team in everybody's poll next year in the Shore Conference, and they're going to be a top 5 team in the state of New Jersey. Donovan Catholic, it's got it rolling. They have to replace a whole lot of seniors, and they got it rolling, and I expect them to be still very, very, very good. A good power school. Middletown South has some key players back. You know that.
Yeah.
They really do. They're going to be good. And again, they know something about winning over there, right? Manalapan's a football program that's one of the bigger schools in the Shore Conference. He's got a lot of young guys coming back that you'll see in the top players in the Shore Conference. Rumson just had an outstanding season, fell short of the state sectional championship, but they'll be back. If statistics have shown they'll definitely be back, and they have high numbers, and new guys are going to rise to the occasion in that program. And Wall's a program that ended a little early, and they're getting a new head football coach who just was out there, so nobody knows who that's going to be, but it's going to be a quality head football coach and a football program that has an outstanding feeder programs, and they'll be back up playing good football. Let's look at the non-division games, which are in the blue, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
So Rumson is going to be playing Toms River North, Southern Regional, and Freehold Borough.
Freehold
Borough. All right. So you're talking about that week one game of Toms River North. Donovan Catholics picked up Lacey Township. They play St. Joe's Montvale.
Correct.
And Jackson Memorial with that. Red Bank Catholic's non-division games are Freehold Borough, Seton Hall Prep, and St. John Vianney. So Red Bank Catholic is playing two of the non-public schools. I don't think they're playing Mater Dei.
No.
Middletown South, Long Branch, they have a bye. They play Matawan, and then they play Middletown North in their Thanksgiving Day game.
Mm-hmm.
Manalapan has Middletown North. They have Freehold Borough, and then they have Marlboro. And then Wall's got a bye. They have Howell, Colts Neck, and Manasquan. They're playing good teams, Coach. From top to bottom, every one of them. Donovan Catholic and Red Bank Catholic are playing teams from outside the shore. Instead of playing 3 in the shore, they're playing 2 with an outside guy right there. Now, there are week 0 games. I still don't have the week 0 games of anybody who may be playing them. But for right now, that's their non-divisional games. From top to bottom, Coach, it's going to be good football. It's not going to be any different. It's just going to be different combination of teams, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. There's a lot of intriguing games too with the crossover from divisions there that I'm looking at. That could be really exciting football, especially when you're looking towards the end of the season.
Right.
With those crossovers, there's a lot of exciting games right there with a lot of some playoff implications are going to be happening at that point in time.
I know when people were getting their schedule, the first thing they were looking at is most likely those 6 teams in that division. Are they on my schedule?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Toms River North, which dropped down, is playing Rumson. You know as well as I do, Toms River North is going to be contending for a state title this year. They got some players back. That's going to be a tough game.
Yeah, they were contending for a state title this year with a very young team with Coach Oz, and he's got a lot coming back next year. They already got a taste of what that championship feeling feels like. So
I kind of look at Lacey Township playing Donovan Catholic game 1. Lacey Township's a traditional power that had a lot of seniors playing this year, and now they're going to be playing a whole bunch of new guys and opening up against a powerhouse in Donovan Catholic. Tough one. So, top to bottom, this is the 2022 American Division's football schedule, and this will be put on the Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for everybody to see. So they have the schedule right there for them. All right, 2022 Colonial Division, Coach. A bunch of new teams kind of put together. And here we go. The Colonial Division has Toms River North, who's got almost everybody back, except I think 3 seniors. Southern Regional, Chuck Donahue's got that team rolling every year. Central Regional, which had an outstanding football season in Coach Pigeon's second season. Lacey Township, they know something about winning over there, Coach. It's got 300-something wins there. You got Long Branch, which does not have Danny George now anymore, and now they have the defensive coordinator, Chad King,
Coach King,
as the head football coach. So there's going to be some new blood in there and some excitement. And, I still think the tradition of Long Branch is stronger than anything, and they're going to be a tough team for anybody. And then Middletown North with Coach Bush, outstanding football coach. You know that college head football coach who's a college football coach who's also a head football coach in high school. He also coached in the pros. There's a lot of good football players and coaches in this division, Coach.
I'll tell you what, Coach, what I'm looking at firsthand is that's a road to travel for Middletown North and even Long Branch. I mean, you're talking Toms River North, Southern Regional, Lacey Town. Those are all drives on the Parkway for a Monmouth County team.
Oh,
to
it's
take that into consideration. I mean, those are pretty far rides.
let's look at their non-divisional games now. Again, they're playing their division, which is brutal. Now, who are they playing in their
Outside.
non-division games? Tom River North has Rumson. You know they're a tough team right there. And then they play their sister schools, South and East.
Which they should.
They should. They should.
We want to see that. Absolutely correct.
They should. And I think Coach Oz is actually playing a week 0 game against one of the teams. I don't know if it's I don't have the week 0 game yet. They didn't post it, but they're playing a week 0 game. Southern Regional has a bye. They're going to play Rumson. They're going to play Howell, and they have. I think they're playing a week 0 team too. I don't have that yet. They didn't post that thing, but that again, that's 2 bigger schools, but Rumson's a powerhouse with that. Middletown North is playing Manalapan. They got a bye week. They're playing Ocean Township, and then Middletown South.
That Thanksgiving Day,
Thanksgiving Day game. Keep your eye on Ocean Township, Coach. We'll talk a little bit about them later on. Lacey Township opening up with Donovan Catholic. They're playing Colts Neck and then Brick. Coach, I played at Lacey. I mean, I coached at Lacey, and I'm just saying to myself, oh my, that's a tough one. They lost a lot of kids, a lot. I want to say 19 seniors, and now they're playing Donovan. It's different. It really is different. That's a tough one. That's a tough opening game. Long Branch, Coach King is starting out playing Middletown South. Tough one in your opening game. He has a bye. Neptune, and also playing Red Bank Regional.
Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, I'm very curious, Coach, to see how Coach King does. And from what I'm hearing, he's well loved in that program and all that stuff. So, when kids play with emotion, like they did this year, Coach, with Coach George, Long Branch was tough to beat. They really were. Yep. And they got a lot of dudes back. A lot.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
And then Central Regional also has some dudes back, including the leading rusher in the Shore. Howell, they're playing. Brick and Brick Memorial. So that's a nice, comfortable, non-divisional games with very competitive division games inside. So that's a very tough schedule.
And a lot of rivalry games in there, even with the out of divisional games. There are a lot of rivalry games. That's a really exciting division.
I really like Tom River North and Southern is a rivalry game. Mm-hmm. Major rivalry game. They've had some great games throughout the years. Central Lacey, incredible rivalry. I don't know about Long Branch and Middletown North though. I don't know about that.
No, but you're seeing you got the 3 rivalry games at Tom's River. I like the Lacey Township playing Brick Township. I like that. I like Long Branch. I like playing Neptune and Red Bank. Those are rivalry games. They border. There's some games I like as rivalries here.
Yeah. Oh, you meant with the non-division game?
Yeah. With the non-divisions, yeah.
Yes. But within the division, I like North versus Southern. I like Lacey. Those are
old school rivalries. Yeah.
Old school. I know they're embracing it. That's what you want. You want
absolutely.
You want to when you're playing that team, after that Friday night game and you're playing that rivalry game, you don't have to get them going. If you can't get up for those games, then you're not a competitor. You're not. 2022 Constitution Division, Coach. Again, new teams together. Let's talk about them. You have Marlboro. Coach D'Agato had a great season, 7-3 last year. And what does he do? He gets rewarded playing this division.
Yeah.
Jackson was 3-6. Not used to being 3-6, Coach.
And an amazingly tough schedule he had last year.
Can I tell you this? They got some dudes back.
Yeah.
And they're not used to being 3-6. They're one of my sleepers. This year coming up. But Jackson's in there. You have Howell that lost 5 or 6 games by 5 points.
Yeah, I was going to say it was under 7 points.
I think it was 6 games. They were 2-8. They lost 6 games by 5 points or less. And they got a lot of guys back.
In
So-
Coach Hill's first year
in
back.
Coach Hill's
Yeah.
first year back, and they got some dudes also returning, and a very good freshman team coming in. So that's going to be a very good team too, battling it for the championship. You have Freehold Township that played some young guys at the skilled positions. I know Coach Davies is really excited about them. He has 2 quarterbacks back with experience.
Yeah.
You know,
Correct.
a nice problem to have, Coach.
Yep. Sometimes the injury bug in the season before helps you out. Yep.
Exactly. So Freehold Township's in there again with some players back. Colts Neck had a 6-4 season last year. Were they 6-4?
And
And
then the injury bug came down on them.
they graduated some seniors. They really did. And this is going to be the year to show their real depth to their program for traditional success. It really is right there. But they have a running back, Scully, a sophomore. I think he's going to carry the load, and I think he's going to be a 1,700 rusher. So I don't feel sorry for Colts Neck too much, Coach. And then Freehold Boro. Freehold Boro has been, an explosive team on offense and defense for the last couple of years for Coach Ellis, and they lost some 3 dudes. They really lost some three dudes, and they got to replace them. But I think that there's.
But it seems like every year with Coach Ellis and Freehold Boro, they have that super stud in the backfield, and then graduates, and then they come right back and they have you another one.
Yeah.
Definitely the scheme of what they're doing over there is the right one. What they're doing. Yeah.
Well, it shows they're buying into it. So they're really
100%.
buying into it. So it's hard to feel sorry for teams like Coach Ellis and Freehold Boro when they've had some success in the past. They're not going to come down too hard like people think. They're going to be still a very good football program.
So. Nope.
Let's look right now up top, the non-divisional games. You have Marlboro has to play Brick. They play St. John Vianney, and they play Manalapan. So they're beefing up their schedule quite a bit, Marlboro.
I was going to say that's a big jump with non-divisional games.
It is.
That's tough.
They're going to get the multiplier at Vianney. So, I mean, right now, if they have the same season they had last year, and with this, they're making the playoffs. They really are. They really are. And they got some guys back, too. I know Ryan Mendez. They got Cassidy. We'll talk a little bit about them later on. Freehold Township, Barnegat. It's an interesting game. Barnegat's a Group 2 school playing a Group 5. They're going to play Brick Memorial, and they're going to play Manchester. Very interesting, Freehold Township. Playing 2 smaller schools, in Brick Memorial. Interesting. Really interesting, especially with PowerPoints. That might affect them. It might affect them with that.
Yeah.
Because they don't have a multiplier, and playing down to those 2, because Manchester's Group 3, but they always can move to Group 2 in June because the classifications come out late.
Yeah.
Interesting. With that, Colts Neck play St. John Vianney, Lacey, and they play Wall. They play Wall Township. So Colts Neck gets that multiplier game 1 right away. I mean, they're going to be tested right away on how they're going to be able to recover from the graduation, because St. John Vianney's got some guys back. They really do.
Yeah.
Jackson Memorial, that's the sleeper. They're playing Brick Memorial, they're playing Jackson Liberty, and they're playing Donovan Catholic. I expect Jackson to be very explosive. They got Ty Mann, the quarterback, back. D'Alessandro's back. Hernandez is back. They have Hubbard back, coach. And you know what? And when you say tradition, you don't have to mention names. You just know that they're going to fill out those jerseys, and they're going to be some Jackson dudes. Yeah. They really are. Jackson's
talking about playoffs, like you're saying, we both expect. I agree with you. Jackson could have a good year. By the time they get to that Donovan Catholic game, when it's looking at playoff with the multiplier for them, that could help them big time.
Yeah. Interesting. I don't know when's the best time to play Donovan Catholic. I always say it's the best time to play him is in the off season. Right.
7 on 7.
And you don't tell anybody where the game's at, but that's a tough one. That's brutal. Howell, they're playing Central Regional, they're playing Wall, and they're playing Southern. Interesting. So they're going to get, again, Howell's a big school, so it's not, wow, you're playing Southern.
Yeah, I agree with you.
They were A North for many, many, many years. So, they're going to be very competitive, and if they can win those close games, they're going to have a shot to make the playoffs. And it's that simple. You don't play six, what was it? What do we say? 6 games, 5 games, whatever it was, 6 games or 5 games by 5 points or less. If they win those games or half those games, they could be expecting to have a shot of the playoffs. And the last one, Boro, is playing Red Bank Catholic. That hurts. Red Bank Catholic has got a lot of guys back, and you're playing them opening day. Dorn. And then you got Manalapan and also Rumson.
That might be the toughest non-divisional schedule right there.
Coach, let's just erase the word may. It is, okay?
Holy cow.
Yes, it is, all right? Somebody got somebody mad in those committee meetings, right? Woo! Yeah. So, all right, 2022 Constitution Division. These guys' schedule's up there. Good luck to those guys. Here we go, Coach. 2022 Freedom Division and the 6 schools here. Competitive. It's going to be it's going to be hard to pick who's going to be winning this. And we're not doing that today. We're not picking who is doing all that stuff. We're not doing that. We're just showing you their schedules, right? Ocean Township has a lot of underclassmen back, led by their quarterback, Tyler Douglas. They're going to be scary. Had a what's the word? They're not used to losing at Ocean. And they got all these kids back. I expect them to be, again, they're a sleeper team too. Just like I said about Jackson, they're going to recover, I think, very, very quickly. And a lot of people are going to be shocked about that.
Not a doubt in my mind with Coach Klein that they're going to bounce back this year.
Oh, with Coach Klein, I'm going. Red Bank, Coach Fallon, second year. He's got a lot of kids back. He really, really does. He won games. He got better as the year went on. The quarterback situation, kids were getting hurt, and they still were producing. He's excited about them. He's got playmakers at Red Bank in his program coming up. Really excited about that. Brick Memorial. Remember that quarterback, Dietz?
Yeah, Connor Dietz is pretty good.
Connor Dietz is decent. He led the short conference in all-purpose yardage, and he's back. As a sophomore, he's back. There's no sophomore jinx. He's not a sophomore no more. So, so he's coming back. He'll be one of the top players in the shore without a doubt, and definitely in the division. Neptune, Coach Duffy's second year. He got Neptune playing really good football at the end of the year, Coach.
Yeah.
They really did. He got them winning. And believing is the word, believing. If those Neptune kids can stay at Neptune, which they should, it's your town. Play for Coach Duffy. He's a great coach, a great guy. They're going to be tough. They're going to be tough because when those guys are focused, look out with that. And they got guys back. They really do. Tom River South, who made the playoffs last year.
Yep.
Okay. They have a very good freshman class coming up. I know that. They had a couple freshmen that played varsity last year too. Big difference freshman year to sophomore year. I'm excited to see some of those guys grow. I love Devin Bond. I love him as a kick returner. 2 touchdowns last year. He's a running back. They're gonna be a scary team. Tom River South waiting for them to bounce back. This could be the year. This could be the year that they bring back that old tradition, Tom River South winning ways. And Brick Township with Lenny Zdanowicz. They graduated a lot of kids, and tradition doesn't graduate. It's going to be put to the test, that motto, a little bit with Lenny.
Yeah.
So that's that. Now looking up top with the schedules, the non-divisions. Who does Neptune got? They got Point Boro. Can you say ouch? Okay. Point Boro is state champs and just about everybody back. Tough one. They got a bye. They have Long Branch and the Asbury Park, which is that traditional game with that.
Game, yeah.
Ocean Township. They got a lot of guys back, and they are playing Holmdel, Raritan, and Middletown North. So they got tough games. That is a tough game. That's a tough one. Tom River South plays the sister schools, South. They play East. They play Tom River North. and they play Raritan. Raritan's going to be good. Raritan's going to be a tough one, Coach. Really is with that. Red Bank plays Monmouth Regional. They play Holmdel, and they play Long Branch with that. The Long Branch is their Thanksgiving Day game.
Correct.
But I mean, I do believe Red Bank's gonna be pretty good this year. They really are. It's a big difference for a head coach having your team for the first year and now to the second. They know all the ins and outs and what they want, and even the coaches know more about the players too.
I was just going to say the coaching staff itself knows more about the players. You got a whole year under your belt with them.
Yep. Brick Memorial with Connor Dietz under center are playing Jackson, Freehold Township, and Central Regional. Competitive games with that.
Good game right off the shot, Jackson.
Yeah. For both teams, that's a huge game.
Exactly.
Both teams. Brick. One thing about Coach Curry, he's very good at opening games, and he's very good at the end of the season. He always gets them playing really well in that stretch run. Traditionally, yes, he does. Brick Township. They play Marlboro, Central, and Lacey. Games that he has played in the past. So it's okay with that. Very competitive games with that. Interesting. Coach, when you play a lot of competitive games, you can win one, you can lose one. That's why these guys' records are 3-7, 4-6, 5-5, 6-4. It's all kind of around that, You don't usually, you're not seeing a lot of 9-0 teams, 8-1 teams. You kind of see some wins and losses mixed in. You really do.
Yep.
Shows the depth of the short conference. All right, 2022 Independence Division. Again, we're going to say the same words. Competitive division. You got Manasquan, led by Brett Patton, right?
Yeah.
The quarterback, top quarterback, first team All-Shore last year, coming back. One of the top players in the state of New Jersey, coming back. And he's, again, Manasquan's got tradition, and they also have players around them. They're going to be pretty good, Coach.
Another year with Coach Sellers, with the offense that they ran last year, so they have a lot more confidence in it. Yeah.
Point Boro coming off a state championship.
And returns 30 juniors from last year's team.
Yeah,
30.
I mean, I don't feel bad for him. He's got that Division I lineman Skinner there, Cole Skinner. They're going to be very, very good with a lot of guys back, maturity. They're going to be clicking. They really will. St. John Vianney, 4-7 last year, Coach. I didn't believe it. You don't believe it when you hear 4-7 because every game that we were talking about that they were playing, it wasn't like that they were outmatched. They have a lot of talent. They were in every game. It wasn't like, oh my God, we can't beat this team. They're going to bounce back. There's no doubt. If I had to put money on what teams are going to bounce back, St. John Vianney is going to bounce back without a doubt. They're not going to be 4-7 again at all.
No, and they have a lot of talent coming back.
A lot of talent they got back.
Yep.
Yes, they do. Raritan, just lost in the state finals, state sectional finals loss. They got some key kids back. They're Raritan. Let's reload. That's what you expect from a Raritan. Here's a lot of good football teams in the Independence Division. Then you have Monmouth. Monmouth just won their division. They got bumped up 2 divisions up.
Yeah.
They have a lot of guys back. Yes, they do. I love Julian Jones, running back, one of the top players around, a junior. He's going to be, he's going to make a name for himself now in this division. But it's tough. It's a big jump going from the division they were to here, but they are equipped to play. And then you have Holmdel. Holmdel with Coach Rainess. His offense is tough to defend. It's tough to put a defensive scheme in. It just stinks. It's like nobody wants to play against it, and he keeps running it, and he's running it well, and it wears people out. And Holmdel. Yep. Let's look at their non-division games. Point Boro's got Neptune, Toms River East, and Barnegat. You know, I mean, again, they're Point Borough, so they're not playing these non-division games where it's like they're going to get blown out of the water. Teams are, you know, not looking forward to playing Point Borough next year. They're not. They're just not. Manasquan's got to bye. They're playing Manchester. They're playing who is that, Coach? The SH. Oh, they're playing Shore and they're playing Wall. My bad. What am I thinking?
Yeah.
Now, that's a little head scratch right there playing Manchester. I don't get Manasquan. I don't get Manasquan playing Manchester at all.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree with you on that. Shore's a good matchup. That's a rivalry.
Yeah, they played him in
Township's a Thanksgiving Day game.
Yep. Yeah, Shore played him in Thanksgiving Day this year, and it was a great game. It really was a great game.
Manchester's a head scratcher. You're right.
Yeah, I don't get that game. The other two I get. I do. Yep. St. John Vianney, they're playing Colts Neck, Marlboro, and RBC. I mean, I think they're the favorite in the two of the three. I really do. Red Bank Catholic, we all know is loaded.
Yeah.
And that's a good game. But I think St. John Vianney's on, you know, they got a schedule there. I think they can, you know, get their record going in the right direction. I really do.
I agree.
Monmouth has got Red Bank, they got Shore, and they have Pinelands. Their non-conference games is, I mean, look, they're playing Shore. I think Monmouth is in a tough division.
I was just going to say the non-conference games look a little bit more parity for Monmouth Regional than the actual division games.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I just Monmouth had one of their best seasons in a long time. They got bumped up prematurely 2 divisions.
And remember that they were in a division last year where 3 of the teams were Group 1.
I know. I'm kind of biting my tongue a little bit here.
I'm in agreement with you.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be tough. There's going to be a lot of growing pains right now going on. So, you know, and they got guys back, and Coach Wendell, he knows his team, and he's excited about the guys he's got coming back. He's got a great attitude about it. God bless him. But I think things are going to be a little tighter right now for them. Raritan, Matawan, Ocean, and South, Tom River South. You know, Raritan, Matawan have played in the past. Ocean, Raritan have played in the past.
Yep.
Tom River South and Raritan are new.
Yeah.
You know, it's new. But, you know, Raritan is a program that kind of adapts and plays, you know, against anybody, and they don't back down to anybody. And they're going to be a Raritan team again. They're going to play a tough schedule, and they're going to play teams tough. And, you know, who knows what's going on. But by the end, there'll be a playoff team and battling it out and see where it falls, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Holmdel, Ocean. They play Matawan and they play Red Bank. You know, we had Coach Rainess on our show, and he plays who's on his schedule, and you know the teams that he coaches are the same way. We buckle up. Whoever we're playing, we're going to give it our best, and we're going to be tough, and we're going to compete, and that's what you expect from Holmdel. I don't expect them to lay down with that. That's the 2022 Independence Division. 2022 Liberty Division. Again, bunch of different teams in there. Let's go right on. Matawan with Coach Graber has a lot of skilled kids back. A lot of skilled kids back. And we'll talk a little bit about their players. They look like they're going to be a very tough team in this division, Coach. They really are.
They're going to have to travel a little bit too.
They are. They
better
are.
Make sure there's some tread on the bus tires.
Wow. You know who else is going to be pretty good? Coach Coving's got some good players coming back, skilled kids coming back.
Young last year, yep.
Led by JoJo Bivens, a 1,500 plus rushing yardage guy, and one of the top running backs in the Shore, coming back as a junior. Best running back they ever had. He'll be the all-time leading rusher at Barnegat.
Wow.
By mid-year. Yep. So Coach Coving's smiling. He's got a little smile to him in the hallway. I can say that about him, and I don't see all the other coaches in the Shore, but he knows he's got a good group of kids. Yeah, he's going to be all right with there. So Barnegat's going to be there. Tom River East. Coach Sandberg's got his guy. They dropped down 2 divisions, Coach.
I was going to say that they've dropped. Yep.
I don't know if they should have. They're a Group 4 school. They're playing some Group 2 schools here. Well, Barnet gets Group 2, and
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, Tom DeReese, welcome to the Liberty. They played some underclassmen on the O-line. They're skill kids. They lost a lot of skill kids. So we'll see. They got to rebuild or reload, whatever you want to call it. Playing different teams in this division. Who knows? I think East will battle in the Liberty division. Again, we're not picking who's the favorite or nothing, but Tom River East is going to have a say in who's going to win the championship. I do believe that. Pinelands just hired John Tierney the other day, a longtime football coach from Pinelands, and Pinelands has a lot of kids back. They really, really do. They had a very good freshman.
I was going to say the freshman season.
Freshman season was very good, and he coached their freshman players.
Yeah.
I look for Pinelands to have some talent, and they're going to be fresh with a new excitement. They're going to make some noise in the Liberty division if they can win a couple of those games that are toss ups or whatever. You never know. You never know. You never know. Manchester lost a couple of key dudes, seniors. I know Savon's gone and Damari Brown. Those they lost some guys. I know they have a lot of guys back too, but the all shore type of kids, they're gone.
Yeah.
So new guys are going to have to step up to be, playmakers for Coach Wilkinson at Manchester. But he's got a lot of role players back. So some of those role players got to step up to be, playmakers for him. And Jackson Liberty with Coach Sharples, he's waiting. Who knows? They got to get a couple breaks here or there and get a couple wins under the belt, and then who knows? Maybe go on a cruise control and play out your season, and who knows? But Jackson Liberty hasn't, had too many winning seasons in the past couple years, and again, you start the season 0-0. Hopefully, you have a good off season and get back. And I know they have a skilled, a really good lineman that we'll talk about later that's back. He's a freshman, and that's nice to build on with that. Let's talk about the non-division games. Barnegat starts off with Freehold Township. That's a tough one, a Group 5 school. I give Coach Covine credit for playing those guys at Freehold Township. Big game, high expectations, and you know what? Both teams, high expectations. And they play Asbury Park, who is loaded. Not a lot of numbers, but they have like 20, 22 kids, but they got a lot of key kids back, Asbury Park. That's a tough one. That's going to be a tough one. And then they play Point Boro, and we talked about that. Yeah, that's really, really tough. So that's 3 tough non-division games for a Barnegat, a Group 2 school. It really is. That's really tough games for a small Group 2 school to be playing. It's just good. Pinelands, they play Point Beach. So Coach Tierney opens up his head coaching career playing Point Beach. They play Lakewood, and they play Monmouth. They play Monmouth. So I don't agree. I'm going to just say this. I don't agree with Group 3 schools playing Group 1s.
Listen, I'm going to get into that looking down the road here when we get to Jackson Liberty. That's Jackson Liberty's Group 4, correct?
Yeah.
They're playing Keensburg. Is that right?
Yeah.
We'll get into that.
We'll get to that. I don't agree. I don't agree. Coach, I don't agree with Group 3 schools playing Group 1. With Group 1s, I mean, there's a big difference playing Group 1 when you're Group 3.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're winnable games, but
how much you gain from it with PowerPoint standpoint too? I mean,
yeah, you're not going to get PowerPoints from that. No. Matawan playing Raritan. They're playing Holmdel, and they're playing Middletown South. Matawan's going to be very, very good. They're going to be able to compete with Raritan. They're going to be able to compete with a Holmdel. Middletown South is let's call it spade. They're going to be tough.
Yeah.
Middletown South is going to be tough. But Madawan's got some tough games, and for PowerPoints wise, you got it. Coach Graber's got PowerPoints now, riding on those non-divisional games. Manchester plays Lakewood. They play Manasquan. They play Freehold Township. That's a tough non-division. Play Manasquan and Freehold Township. Freehold Township's a Group 5. They're Group 3, Manchester. And then playing Manasquan, a state power, high expectations, a Group 3, Group 2, Group 3 power. That's a tough one. Toms River East playing sister schools South. They play Point Boro and Toms River North. Tough. Their non-divisions are brutal, right? Playing your sister schools, one of them being North, and we know is a top 2 team in the Shore, and then also playing Point Boro. Whew. So they got brought down at 2 divisions, but they got brought back to life with their non-divisions, right? Yeah. And the last one, Jackson Liberty. Yeah, they're playing Keensburg. They're playing Jackson, and they're playing Point Beach. They got some relief, I'll tell you that. They really did, Coach. A Jackson Liberty team, when they play those Group 1s, I think are just going to impose their size and their It's just tough. It's tough. It is.
I don't understand it.
I don't understand. Well, the poor Group 1s, they're the ones who are the sacrificial lambs all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So there is your 2022 Liberty Division schedule. Hey, Coach, the last division, the 2022 Patriot Division. It's always exciting because everybody's in there. They think they got a shot, and it's been Group 1s, and now they mixed in Asbury Park and Shore, which have been out of it. So interesting. But traditionally, they've always been in this division for the most part, right?
Yeah, it looks like the old school, the old
It looks
division.
it. It looks it.
C North Division, Asbury, Keyport, Shore, Keensburg, Point Beach.
Yep. So who's in the division? Asbury Park. Asbury Park's got some key kids back, not only in the skill positions, but also on the line. They're going to be tough. Might not have a lot of players, but they have a lot of good players on there. So there are a high percentage of players that are big key contributors are on the football team coming back, Coach. When you have your quarterback, you have a running back, you have multi-receivers back, you have linemen back, wow. They got weapons. Now, Shore Regional, they got Kaz. That's who they got. And Kaz has been there for a long time. And, they've always been that border of Group 1, Group 2, Group 1, Group 2. And now they're brought back to the divisions where they normally should be playing anyway, I think. And they are going to be a very good football team in that division. They are. You know that. A lot of kids back. Young kids. Shore was able to have a very good season last year, and they're going to be exciting this year because they're going to, just another season with different faces under the helmets. Lakewood, Coach L.J. Clark, their numbers are a little low, but he's excited about some of the key kids coming back, and, Lakewood throw their name in there. They're going to be very competitive in that division, Coach. Keyport, they lose DJ Thompson, tough one, George Mitchell, but hopefully those younger guys learned how to win with those guys, Coach, right?
I agree.
Coach Glez will do a very good job in the offseason, get these guys going, and have new stars come out. And that's what I expect from Coach Glez. I do. Keensburg. Coach Bird runs a very tight ship in that program. They're losing. How do you pronounce his name? Mackay
Braithwaite.
I can't say his name. But he graduated, which was one of the better players they've ever had there. You got to believe they're a program that's going to, get another guy in the under the saddle there and keep him going. But they're a program that kind of plays a lot more kids than the other traditional Group 1s. Maybe they could wear teams out.
I agree. Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
but
Yep.
Keensburg is a team that you kind of look at as they're well coached and you know, you're going to expect some playmakers to rise to the occasion. And Point Beach, the one thing about Coach Zaccone is those players love playing for him. They really do, and they got some kids back, Coach. They really do. You know, Joe Bealey, their quarterback, their outside linebacker, he's back. They're going to be tough. You know, they just love embrace the off season. They just love being around the program. You kind of feel for them. Those guys, they you know, you want them to win because they seem like good kids that work hard for their coach. They really do.
Yep.
Let's look who the non-divisions are. Asbury plays Weekway. Tough program. They play Barnegat, and then they play Neptune. Their non-divisions are tough.
Yep.
Are tough. So they're trying to. Well, their non-divisions will get them ready for the playoffs. They really will.
I agree with that. Yep.
Keyport. They play Mater Dei Prep. We'll talk about them briefly at the end. Mater Dei Prep's kind of back in the equation. New Egypt and Florence. So Mater Dei Prep's going to be a varsity team for the first time and since 2 years ago, and I don't expect them to be like they were in the past, but so they give them the Keyport. Shore Regional, they play Westwood, they play Monmouth, and they play Manasquan. They got their non-divisions were beefed up a little bit.
Absolutely, I was just gonna say non-divisional games are tough games here. Yeah.
But Asbury Park and Shore can play with these teams. They can.
I agree with
it's
that.
not like it's tougher, but they're tough too.
Yeah, I agree.
Keensburg, they play Jackson Liberty, they play Palmyra, and they play Mater Dei Prep. I just don't get the Jackson Liberty, but somehow somebody's got to play. It's, you know, Point Beach plays Pinelands, Mater Dei Prep, and Jackson Liberty. Again, Pinelands playing a Group 1 school. Mater Dei, they get to play Mater Dei Prep, Point Beach, and Jackson Liberty. So you're looking at Point Beach playing bigger schools, Pinelands and Jackson Liberty, and then they play Mater Dei Prep. So it's a little tough. But Point Beach is, just, I believe they're the smallest school in the Shore.
It's
tough. Lakewood, they play Manchester, they play Pinelands, and they play Holy Cross. So the green is when their program goes out and gets that game
outside the Shore Conference.
Yeah. And then the Mater Dei Prep, they're a non-divisional, or the independent, and you know, I don't know what their schedule is going to look like right there, but they're not in a division, so we're not going to talk about them being in the division. Coach, you guys? Mm-hmm. Okay, here is last year's all junior football team, the top juniors in the Shore Conference. The top juniors in the Shore Conference. I'm going to proudly announce the first team for offense and defense. And please, while I'm talking, also look at the second and third team, guys. A lot of great football players in the Shore Conference to be proud of. Quarterbacks, we had two of them. We had Brett Patton from Manasquan, the outstanding quarterback who was first team All-Shore for the Shore Football Report. One of the top quarterback prospects this spring that you're going to hear about is going to be coming out of the Manasquan with Brett Patton. Very good football player, broke many, many records at Manasquan, which is a traditional power, led Manasquan to an outstanding football season, and he's just got better days ahead of him. Very, very smart quarterback, runs the RPO offense, and very poised. I love the way he throws the football. Great touch, very poised athlete, and he's just got a bright future. He's going to be one of the top quarterbacks in the state of New Jersey next season. The other quarterback is Asbury Park's Jason Brown. Kind of a sleeper. A lot of people kind of, don't realize that he was starting as a freshman. Very, very big quarterback. Stands big in the pocket. Throws great football. Very accurate. Very, very appreciated, I think, in the short conference, but he's a quarterback that has such a high ceiling. He really does. Very quietly, he had another great season for Asbury Park, led him to the state playoffs. Um, he is one of the top quarterbacks in the short conference, without a doubt, next year. At running back, we have 5 of them, and led by Kieran Falzone from Raritan, who led them to the state finals for Group 2, South Jersey. Had a very good season, another 1,000-yard season he had rushing, one of the top running backs in the short conference. This year he was, and of course he'll be next year. And he's a bull. They run him really a lot in between the tackles, and he runs real hard, real slippery, quick football player that is just a bull to bring down and has deceptively quick speed. He really does. With that, Deshaun Carter from Asbury Park, big, strong football player who is a threat in the pass game, catching for over 200 yards of receiving yards. Just an athlete, big, strong, big, strong running back. He is one of the tops out there. Very talented Asbury Park football team led by Carter, and also that quarterback we just talked about, Brown, with that big, strong guy. The other running back, JoJo Bivens from Barnegat. I had the pleasure to coach him 2 years ago as a sophomore. He will be Barnegat's all-time leading rusher by the first couple of games. That he'll get that out of the way and just polish off into an outstanding sophomore senior season. Excuse me. JoJo is got great vision, a natural runner. Like, he just sees holes and he gets there. He's run inside the tackles really well, and he's outstanding on the perimeter. We all know about that. Very good football player. Makes guys miss. He makes guys miss. He's not as small as you think. He's a nice size running back that that can also run you over if needed. JoJo's an outstanding football player from Barnegat. Jameer Howard from Manasquan, threat. He's a threat in the pass game out of the backfield. He's a threat when he's a kick returner, punt returner. He's a threat when he's a running back. He led the team in touchdowns. Manasquan had a very good football team last year, and he was one of those guys that kind of got it done wherever he was at. Jameer Howard is an outstanding football player, and he's going to be one of the better players, not only in Monmouth County, but all over the state. Jameer Howard. Saku Camus from Long Branch. When Coach George talked to me about him, he said he's one of the better ones he's ever coached. Says a lot. Danny George is a Hall of Fame coach. Coached a lot of great football players with that. And Saku Camus led Long Branch to an outstanding season, led him to the playoffs. They won the division championship. Saku is going to be not only a great running back, but also an outstanding linebacker, too. And the last but not least running back, Chase Gumbrett from Central, led the shore in rushing. Just what a great season he had. I mean, he was tearing it up. Had over 25 touchdowns, over 1,800 yards rushing. Outstanding football season he had. A small running back that plays tough, hard to bring down, really sets up his blocks, running power, loves a lot of cutbacks. I love how he'll get the ball in the pistol and cut it back to the other side and makes people miss. He knows how to set up his blocks. Outstanding football player, had a great season. He really did, and he's looking forward to having another big season, his senior season, for Coach Pigeon, who also helped him win a championship, their division title with that. At receiver, 3 of them made it. Naj Rahman from Red Bank Catholic, the outstanding wide receiver who's got the great reputation, also now has a ring, won a state championship at Red Bank Catholic. Outstanding wide receiver, catches the ball over the middle, runs great routes, and is just a threat. And he'll be a threat again for Red Bank Catholic, trying to repeat as the state champions. Kyle Verist from St. John Vianney. This wide receiver comes with a lot of high praise from opposing coaches. He's a ball hawk. He was injured last year, 2 years ago. So he's kind of under the radar a little bit, but a lot of guys didn't know about him. Had a very good season this year. Kyle's a big, strong athlete, plays both offense and defense, and he's a playmaker. The last wide receiver is Ryan Mendez from Marlboro. Playmaker. He does it on offense, does it on defense. He's physical. He's a strong wide receiver, goes to the football, makes plays. The ball's in the air. He just goes to the football. If Marlboro threw the ball, if he was in a program that threw the ball a lot, he would be a kid that would have 50-something catches. He seems to be a very smart wide receiver, very strong, and great hands. Ryan Mendez from Marlboro. At tight end, Damian Padilla, a Howell. I love him. Strong looking inside slot wide receiver that can be flexed out and make plays. Had big games, big statistical games, goes to the football, and he's hard to bring down. Damian Padilla, our tight end. O-lineman. 5 O-linemen, led by Cole Skinner from Point Boro, a Division I tackle without a doubt. Big 6'4", 6'5", 300, 310 tackle, led them to a South Jersey Group 2 state championship. Point Boro doesn't have a lot of Division I O-linemen in the past, and this kid's going to be their marquee guy. Cole Skinner had a great season. Very athletic, very physical. Seems like he's got a lot of things going for him for Coach Staub and the state champs, Point Boro. Mikhail Davis from St. John Vianney, and a kid with a great reputation. People speak very highly of him, that he's physical, that he's dedicated. He's a loyal type of kid. Had a very good season for St. John Vianney, and will anchor their line again this year as a senior. Tom Driver Nort's Josh Kay, offensive lineman. When you talk to Coach Oz about Josh Kay, and what do they talk about? He talks about a kid who is tough. If he was a kid that was, 2-3 inches taller, he'll be Division I schools will be knocking all over the door for him. He's a tough high school football player that plays both sides of the ball, and Coach Oz can't speak enough about Josh, of what kind of a player and also, more importantly, person he is. Josh Kay is going to be one of the leaders of a Tom Driver North football team that's going to be one of the top teams in the state of New Jersey. Julian Santo from Manalapan. Coach Leport loves this guy, anchored their line. Very veteran line they had, but this kid right here, they were very excited about. Only a junior at the time, had a very good season for a Manalapan team that went to the state playoffs and was a high seed there, and was ranked in the top 10 in the Shore. And the last lineman is Nick Windsor from Matawan, a big 6'4" type of kid, 275, I want to say he is. A big, strong looking weight room dude that Coach Graber is real excited about as a junior. Kind of had quietly, it was put on the map, and now people know about him, and he's a Division I type of kid, Nick Windsor. At utility, Tyler Douglas from Ocean. He's already got an offer at a Division I school. Was injured a little bit during the season, but he is a dual threat, can run, pass, plays defense. One of the top athletes, without a doubt, in the Shore Conference. Started as a freshman for the Big Red, and he'll be one of the premier players in the Shore Conference next year. Without a doubt, Tyler Douglas will. With that kicker, Michael Colton from Manalapan, I think he's a Division I kicker, to be honest with you. I think he's a Division I kicker, and so do college coaches. This kid's got a great loft to his kick. When you see him kicking, He kicks a nice height and gets some distance. Very active leg. Coach Leport loves him. And Manalapan's kicking you that we always said, we joking around about. Michael Colton is the top kicker in the Shore Conference with that. We have another kicker I had to put on, Evan Weiner from Manchester. When you're talking about kickers, I mean, you're talking about a kid that can boot it as touchbacks. I mean, this kid's got an active leg. I mean, when it comes to kickoffs, he can get it into the end zone, which is a big threat in high school football. I know Coach Wilkinson would always give him a chance to kick some of those long field goals, which you do know if it does miss, it counts as a punt. But this kid right here, when he kicks it, you got loft and you got distance. And that's something college coaches like because the ball just ricochets off his foot. He is a talented kicker, Evan Weiner from Manchester. Return specialist, Devin Bond from Tom Driver South, 2 touchdowns as a kick returner. He's also a running back and a defensive back. But when he was a threat at kick return, everybody would talk about the outstanding return specialist, Mr. Bond, during the whole season. Everybody would talk about him. Can't miss. He's got to be on it. It says a lot about him. Special teams is big with Devin Bond being back there on kick returns. Devin Bond is the return specialist from Tom Driver South. That is the first team offense for the all junior team. Our defense for the first team all junior team defense goes here. 5 D linemen. Jack Lopez from Middletown North, just one of the top O-line D linemen in basically the Shore Conference. Coach Bush believes he's a Division I athlete, and when that comes from him, who also was a college coach, says enough for me. Jack Lopez has an outstanding reputation. He was physical, and he will be one of the premier players next year. Defensive lineman DeAndre Banks, a junior from Neptune. Just a big, strong, physical athlete that can turn it on at any play. And when he does, it's eye-popping on the huddle highlight videos. So he's an outstanding force on defense, which helps Coach Duffy feel a little better about going into next season. With that, Aiden Donahue, a junior from Red Bank Catholic, starting for Red Bank Catholic state championship football team. Aiden was tough against the run and just was a force on the defensive line for Coach Lang and his state championship football team. With that, Shane Garrett, junior from Ocean, was injured a little bit. Still didn't take away from what kind of a football player he is, what kind of season he had. Shane is very, very active and very athletic for a D lineman, almost like a skill kid in a D-line body right there. And that says a lot. He's going to put a lot on his frame, and with his skill set and being so talented, he's going to be a big-time college prospect. I think he really, really is. The last D lineman is Logan Brennan from Central. Quietly, he helped defensively, and Coach Pigeon win the his division championship and had a great season, 6-4. And having Logan back for Central is something that they're all excited about going into the 2022 season right there. Logan Brennan. Those are my 5 D linemen. Now let's get to the linebackers. 7 linebackers made the all junior team. First one, Dante Veneri from Donovan Catholic. Dante had 5 interceptions, 4 for touchdowns. 5 interceptions, 4 for touchdowns. A linebacker that is very good running from sideline to sideline, chasing people down. Very good in the pass drops, which he had 4 touchdowns. Think of that, 4 touchdowns as a linebacker. Incredible. Just had a very big season for Coach Sergione. And I know he's very excited about that. And he'll be one of the leaders of the football team at Donovan Catholic. And, of course, one of the premier players on defense next year in the Shore Conference. Linebacker, Ty Kazanowski Jr. from Tom River North. Kazanowski is like a quarterback on the football field, hard-nosed football player, plays tight end for Coach Oz, and they have a lot to be excited at. They fell short, losing in the state finals of the South Jersey Group 5 championship game, but they're going to get right back in there and be one of the leaders for that hunt for that title next year, with Ty being a two-way player for Tom River North. Ty Bolin from Tom River North, also an outstanding football player at linebacker, matched up with Kazanowski. That's a pretty formidable linebacking thing to add Rodriguez too as a sophomore. But Ty Bolin is a very physical football player for Tom River North, and I know Coach Oz was moving him around different places because of his physicality and wanted him to be nuisance to the offense. And Ty is going to be, again, a nuisance for everybody's offense because he's a ball hawk and a very tough football player. Linebacker Christian Buchanan from St. John Vianney, transferred from Mater Dei, went to St. John Vianney with a pretty nice reputation and had a very good season for Coach Albuquerque, and will be a force next year for St. John Vianney. Christian Buchanan, a very physical football player. With that, Michael Palmieri from Red Bank Catholic quietly had a very good season for the state championship team. But when you watch his film, he flies to the football. He's physical, takes on blocks, and makes plays. And that's why he's on this team for Coach Lang and the state champion Red Bank Catholic team. With that, Joey Bowden from Matawan had over 90 plus tackles this year for Coach Graber. Kind of got overshadowed a little bit by that senior stud David Ajan, and football tough. He's going to be one of the best linebackers in the shore, no doubt. And he brings it. He plays hard. He plays with a lot of emotion, and he's going to be a force for Matawan in their division with that. So Joey Bowden's on his team, a junior linebacker right there. The other linebacker, the last linebacker, is Tyler Gordon from Point Boro. Again, starting linebacker for a state championship football team at Point Boro, South Jersey Group 2 state champs. They do a lot with him, a lot of blitzing they do with Tyler. He causes havoc with his quickness and ball hawking skills, and going to be a threat, and it's going to be very tough for offenses next year to do a lot with Tyler Gordon coming back at linebacker right there. Now, defensive backs, 4 DBs made it for this team. The first one is Sabino Portella from Red Bank Catholic, may be one of the best overall football players in the shore next year. One of the leaders of the football team, without a doubt, offensively, defensively, also plays running back. Physical, goes to the ball, makes plays at safety. Just an outstanding football player. Sabino, also an outstanding wrestler. Shamar Williams from Long Branch. This kid's a playmaker. All right, multiple interceptions for touchdowns. Just, again, when you talk about reputation, Shamar is a 7-on-7 like legend out there. People talk about him. I saw film on him. I got to see him play. He goes to the football. Just got a bright future, this kid. He really does. Just a shutdown defensive back. Shut down. You don't want to throw his way. He's going to go to the football and make plays. Really, really great recovery when the ball's in the air. It really is. Outstanding football player, defensive back, Shamar Williams. DB, Bau Kemmler from Rumson, a junior. Again, another football player that everybody would talk about. He started developing a great reputation, starting for Rumson. And Rumson is one of the top elite programs in the state of New Jersey. Everybody would talk about Kemmler. Watching the film and then watching him play, didn't disappoint. He came to play, only a junior. He's gonna put his mark on this season as a senior, as one of the best defensive backs in the short conference for one of the better football teams in the short conference at Rumson. And then Michael Alonzo from Keensburg, Coach Bird spoke the world of him, saw a film of him. The guy goes to the football, a ball hawk type of kid, an athletic kid, quick kid, and just makes plays. And he's in the right spot all the time. Michael Alonso makes it at defensive back. Then we have two utilities. Get this kid, Dan Calicari from Raritan at utility. All right. The young man was injured in the beginning of the year, hurt his collarbone. His collarbone was out for 3 or 4 games, came back and just sparked their football team. All right. And he's a kid, if he played every single game, was going to be a first, second team all short kid. Dan Calicari is a inside slot receiver or running back, whatever you want to call it, but they get him the football in sweeps, seams up the middle, running routes. He's just an athlete. They got to get the ball in his hands because he's a playmaker. He really is on both sides of the football field, and he's also a returner. Dan Calicari is one of the best athletes in the short conference next year and playing for a Raritan team that just missed the state championship last year for the South Jersey Group 2 championship. Josh Duval from Long Branch. I mean, this kid right here with sacks, he had over 10 sacks. Kid was all over the place. Very good rusher, instinctive rusher for Coach Danny George. Helped him to a division championship, got him to the state playoffs, and he's going to help Coach King in his first year as a head coach look very, very good on defense, Josh Duval. And then the punter is Cody Walrob at Freehold Township. I love him, a lefty. Again, great loft when he kicks the football and distance. He just looks like a smooth football player when he kicks the football. I mean, it's very effortless when he kicks the football. Definitely one of the top kickers, not only in the short conference, but also in the state of New Jersey with that. Now, our junior season award winners, which I named the junior MVP was Sabino Portella from Red Bank Catholic for all he did offensively and defensively. He led him to the state championship. Sabino deserves it, without a doubt. Just a tough football player, deserves the MVP for the junior. We had co-junior offensive player of the year, Brett Patton from Manasquan, breaking all these records at Manasquan for his quarterback play. And I love the kid. And Chase Gumbert from Central is a guy that just had an outstanding season, over 1,800 yards, 25 plus touchdowns. Chase had an outstanding season, giving Coach Pigeon a division championship and led Central to a state playoff game with that. Defensive player of the year went to Dante Veneri, the outstanding linebacker, playmaker, multiple touchdowns on interceptions was Dante. Not too many people can say that. Multiple. Four touchdowns from interceptions Dante had. Outstanding. Leader. Incredibly quick linebacker for Donovan Catholic. Dante Veneri, junior defensive player of the year. Junior top O lineman, D lineman, Jack Lopez, without a doubt. Reputation alone and film added makes Jack Lopez the top O lineman, D lineman in the short conference for junior class. And then junior special teams player of the year, Michael Colton. Michael Colton is just a premier kicker. Just an outstanding guy. Again, with a great reputation. Watching his film and seeing him kick, it's pretty impressive. And now, coaches are thinking that he may be a Division I kicker. I don't have a doubt. He's just one of those guys that's got that natural torque with his kicking right there. Guys, this is the all junior football team. Please look at the second, third teams on here. All right. A lot of great things are going to happen with this junior class next year. Here is the all-sophomore football team from last year, 2021. This is a very, very talented sophomore class that's got 2 more years in the short conference for everybody to get excited about. Let's go and just talk about the first team all-sophomore guys. 3 quarterbacks made it. Micaiah Ford from Tom River North led them to the Group 5 state sectional championship where they lost. They have everybody back for the most part. This kid is got an offer, I believe, at West Virginia. I mean, the ball. I love the way Coach Oz utilizes him. I mean, he's running the football himself. He's RPOing it, throwing the football. He's improved Okay, here's the all freshman football team from the 2021 season, and there's some athletes here. I'm not going to, well, yeah, I'm going to go through all this list here. A lot of guys to look forward to for the season. Let's just jump right into it. All right, 2 quarterbacks made it, and these are only freshmen that played varsity. If they played something in the varsity, they were eligible to be on here. And cross referencing some coaches on what they told me and what looking at film, and these guys made it. So again, it's all freshman football team of guys that played varsity. 2 quarterbacks. Nick Cardone. Nick came in from Freehold Township. Came in when Mark Aguayo got hurt, and Nick Cardone looked like a big, strong quarterback that excelled for Coach Davies' offense during the end of the season. Nick did real well. Really, just looks like an athletic kid. Well, Coach, that does it for our 2022 high school football schedule release show, our special edition. We just wanted to briefly show everybody what it was all about.